Good evening, everyone. The time is now 5:28, and we
Good
are
evening.
broadcasting on all platforms.
There's the voice from above. I'm saying good evening, but hi to you, hello to you as well.
I can still hear Papa Rock yelling at you. No, he ain't.
I have 5:28. Is that what you
Me
have?
too.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page.
Let's see.
Ward 4 is ready to go. I said Ward 4 is.
I'm just going to write her a motion.
How are you, dear? Okay, Mayor.
Ready? You're recording? The chair will call the April 15th, 2025 meeting of the City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Redpath, can you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Cox.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Natarano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Busher.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk Redpath. I appreciate it. The civility pledge, in the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. Before we start the meeting tonight, I don't see Chief Scarlet in the room just yet, but I was going to ask Chief Cany to come to the podium, if you would, please. I just want to publicly acknowledge that in a week's time, we have a 27-year member of the Springfield Police Department and a 28-year member of the Springfield Fire Department, which is Chief Cany. They're going to retire, which 27 and 28 years respectively is a very long time in their agencies. Some Tier 1 pensioners retire right at the 20-year mark when they're eligible. So you have both served a very long time. So I just wanted to acknowledge that tonight and let the council speak to you if they so choose real quick. If you do not mind, Chief, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I would first like to thank you personally for putting your faith in me and letting me serve for the past 2 years as the fire chief for the city of Springfield. I think you feel as well, that we have yes, we have a Class 1 fire department, but we have an outstanding group of men and women who serve the community. So, and I'm proud to work alongside them every day. So, again, thank you for all your faith in me, and thank you to all the aldermen and women for standing by and assisting me in getting things accomplished over the last 2 years. Your votes make a world of difference. We've been able to move this department forward, and hopefully we'll continue to do that in the future. So, but yeah, any questions you have, please.
It has been an honor to work with you as well. And in full disclosure, the chief told me when I asked him to take this position that he may not be here all 4 years. So that was an early on disclosure. It's not a surprise.
Yes, it's not a surprise.
Yes.
No.
I actually have, just to prove I do not discriminate for age, several directors who said I cannot work for 4 years because of either years on the service on the time of the job or their age. So that is not a surprise. So everyone can hear that. It is expected. It is sad because I enjoy working with you and Chief Scarlet very much, but each of these individuals have created amazing leadership with them along the way, so we are all in good hands. Does any alderperson, I'll just start with number one, it's easier that way. Alderman Cox, do you have anything you would like to say?
We haven't gotten to know each other very well yet, but
No.
I appreciate your service. Thank you for your service to the community of Springfield, and I wish you the best of luck in your future.
Thank you. And the invitation still stands. If you'd like to meet before I'd leave, I'd be happy to fill you in on what we do with the Springfield Fire Department.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep,
Thank you.
You bet.
Alderman Gregory?
Chief Cany, I appreciate you, my friend. You oversaw a big project in Ward 2. The community is loving the firehouse. They're loving having the guys and ladies around, under your tenure. We worked on minority recruitment. You get to say that you have a black female servant under you, and that's something that we have talked about for some time. So we congratulate you on those things. I congratulate you on those things, and the people of Ward 2 congratulate you on those things. Now, I'm going to keep going out, and I'm going to press to our young people of how precious these type of jobs is, because I'm sitting there looking at you, you don't even have no gray, and you're about to retire. So that's a very, very, very
I
good.
have no hair.
You got me there, but no, congratulations and enjoy yourself in retirement, sir.
Thank you. And the tables and chairs, I don't know if Ethan Posey has let you know they are there. So, yes.
We appreciate you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alderman Williams?
Well, and that's what I was going to do. Thank you for the furniture that somebody cut out the budget. Look, we got some furniture for the room. We had to bring our own chairs to the first few meetings. And I appreciate your understanding and your leadership on the fire department. I always try to do whatever the fire chief wants to do, because I know some times are going to be tough. So you're leaving in the nick of time, I'll say that. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Alderman Rockford?
Yeah, Chief Cany, thank you for your service. These jobs aren't easy. I don't care where you're at in the city. They're not easy. Somebody's going to complain about something, but thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yes.
Alderwoman Purchase?
Thank you. I echo what all four of them said, but also too, for your quick response. I have had a lot of issues with elevators, my senior high rises, and you have been
Back again,
Johnny
yes.
on the spot. And I know sometimes with the fire department, I could be like a net at a barbecue that you just can't get rid of. So I thank you for your leadership, and I'm sure you're going to be taking a vacation pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Clerk Redpath, since you were an alderman for a long time and worked with the chief, I wanted you to be able to speak.
When Chief Cany and Chief Scarlet started this thing, I was in my second term, and I trained Kenny when we were in the military together, so we know each other well. I watched you guys both rise up through the ranks, and you do a wonderful job. And we couldn't be more proud of both you and Kenny Scarlet for leading our city, and you're leaving it better than you found it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Notriano?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your service, and congratulations on retiring. And I would just like to say, I ditto to all of the other alders, and I would also like to say that your involvement in the community is definitely something that I've noticed. Seeing you at various community events and meetings is always great. And I can tell that you've served with a passion for doing the people's work, so it's appreciated.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Carlson?
Yeah, congratulations, Chief Cany. I think you always kept the citizens of Springfield at the forefront. Class 1 rating, help keep our insurance rates low. And I appreciate last week, I think it was Alderman Purchase said, you're always quick to respond. When we talked at 6:30, I think, one morning last week about a situation.
Yes, yes.
We talked early, and you took care of it.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. So
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Alderwoman Conley?
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, I would say, first of all, I think we would all expect that the fire department would be fast, given our rating. So, but no, you've proven that with all your responses. I just want to say also, your wife is with you. This is not just a you thing. It's a family, and your family's been a part of this, and it's a lot of time and a lot of effort to serve in the kind of job that you do. And we appreciate that, all of it. And It's exciting to see the advances our department has made. You've been a big part of that. You've also been a very calm voice of reason when, you know, with a lot of weird questions I think I've sent to you. So I really enjoy your retirement. It's been so good working with you. I hope you have a wonderful time and don't take on too many extra jobs after you retire.
Right, there you go. And I appreciate you bringing up my wife, because if it was not for my wife, I would not be here today. You know, she was with me before the fire department. She has adjusted her life through the years to the fact that when I took the job, our daughter was due on the day I was supposed to be hired. And when I called in and said, hey, my wife's due to have our first child on the day I start, is there any leeway chance I could go to the hospital if she goes into labor? And they told me at the time, this is how much things have changed in 28 years, you have to decide if you want this job. We're a little bit more friendly than that today. And, but she has made lots of sacrifices over the last 28 years. So I would, like I said, I would not be here today without her support over the past 30 years of marriage. And
well,
so
it's a field that requires a lot of support.
It is.
And I appreciate that you've really helped foster that in the department, and you kind of walk the walk, and so thank you for that. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Donlin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Chief, when we first met, I believe I had all brown hair, and you had some?
That is correct. I did. That's
but,
correct.
We've worked together on some good times and bad times,
We have.
and you will be missed. But Class 1 department, Class 1 chief, and a Class 1 team. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you. Chief, I just got to tell you, when I first started, you know, I met with all the administration, and one of my first goals was to get Fire Station 13. And I didn't know we were going to call it 13. I thought that was bad luck, but apparently for firefighters, they don't care, you know. But I didn't know I'd ever see that happen. I just didn't ever see it happen. But you guys have, you know, pushed it through, and it's beautiful, and the residents, I know they're getting better service, and I think the firefighters actually like it out there. So we're going to miss you. And now you've got a bigger job, because now you've got a bigger boss, and she is right there in your house, and you'll have a to-do list. So congratulations, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief, and we'll follow up with you about a
Yes.
celebration for the chief at
Sounds
the
good.
fire station, so,
All
thank
right.
you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Scarlet, you're up.
Come down.
Here we go. This wonderful public servant has been with the Springfield Police Department for 27 years, and I've had the privilege of serving with him for almost 2 years, and he has made communication key between us, and I can't thank you enough for that. And you've instilled that in your command staff, and you have developed some great leaders around you, which I couldn't be happier about at this point, because you too are going to move on to do probably more relaxing things, I think. It's been an honor to serve with you, Chief, and I just wanted you to be able to say a few words and let the elders say a few words to you.
Thanks for those kind words, Mayor, and I certainly appreciate your leadership, and have been blessed with the opportunity to work for you, for this council, and for the 113,000 citizens of Springfield. Serving in the law enforcement role has been my dream since day one. I often say this is the only full-time job I've ever had, and there may be another one after this now, I don't know, but my father's retired from law enforcement, and I felt that I had that noble calling and passion to serve others at a very early age. And at no time in my tenure did I think I would be blessed with the opportunity to serve as chief, and God has blessed me in many ways, and this is just one of them. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to give back, and as Chief Cany said, a lot of credit goes to my wife and to my 2 adult children now, who know nothing but seeing their dad in a uniform, and oftentimes serving odd hours of the evening and weekends and all that sort of stuff. So I'm blessed for all that they've contributed to my life, and it's been an honor to serve you all and to serve the citizens of Springfield. And I'm confident that the Springfield Police Department is set up for success in the future, and I've worked hard to make sure that happens. So again, thank you very much, Mayor, for the opportunity.
Thank you. You have to stay.
Yep.
27 years, we need to let the elders say something to you. Alderman Cox.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, again, we haven't gotten to know each other super well yet, but I was a prosecutor for a long time, and I worked with, I don't know if I ever worked with you when I was up at the state's attorney's office or not, but I've worked with a lot of your patrolmen, sergeants, lieutenants, detectives, what have you, and I've been impressed by you, and just the few times I've got to see you speak here before the Horseshoe, always incredibly well-spoken and well-prepared. And the constituents that I've spoken with in Ward 1 are already upset that you're leaving. They wish you could stay. So I just want to tell you thank you for your service. 27 years is a long time, and so congratulations. And I wish you the absolute best in your future endeavors. And I'm sure if you want a full-time job, I'm sure you can find one.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Alderman Gregory.
Chief Scarlet. I won't tell nobody your nickname, but, you know, this is my second chief that I would say that I was close with. That's retiring, so it's a bittersweet moment. I've gotten to know Chief Scarlet, and everybody knows I love Chief Winslow, and he was a big fan of yours, and that's why you stand before us today, because he was such a big fan of yours. And he always told me you was a good guy, and you proved up to that. You know, and I remember when you first got the job, it was something going on, and I was mad, and we was at the Boys and Girls Club, if you remember, and I and my daughter and your young ladies was with you. And while we were standing over there, not wanting to talk to each other, not knowing how each other felt about something, our kids, white and black, had ran off somewhere in Harlem, got them all types of places at the Boys and Girls Club. So, and that sort of broke the ice for us, and we've been able to communicate tough conversations and not tough conversations about how we can improve community relations in our community, and you stuck with that. You haven't abandoned that, and I appreciate you for that. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but I appreciate your willingness to have dialogue with not only me but people in our community, and having that open line of communication. It has helped, and whoever takes your spot, you know, I know they'll be prepared to continue on the service that you left. So I appreciate you, sir. And that's, you know, that's just where I am. I could be up here and be like, and what I don't like about the department, but we're gonna have some opportunities to grow, but we certainly have to compliment good officers who have shown that and proved that, and you're one of them. And I appreciate you, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Chief. I appreciate you. I honestly can say our disagreements or some of those rough conversations mostly was derived from you doing your job and me doing my job as an alderman. I still have issues with data, with numbers, with traffic stops, you know, the number of them and where they're located. All that is still there, but I do appreciate the fact that you listened, that you gave me some back and forths about it and try to explain it the best you can. I always was an alderman that knew you had a union side over there that you had to deal with. You had a contract that you had to conform to. So I always understood you as a chief, and I think you handled that pressure pretty well, even though I wasn't always satisfied. Again, me doing my job and you doing your job, but I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Under both mayors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rockford.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Kenny, you gave me the opportunity to come down and talk to you here a couple of weeks ago, and appreciate that. And again, tough job. You did a good job. Wish you the best of luck with your health and your adventures in the future.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you. You could smile. You always looking so. There you go. You're about to retire. I just want to say, under your leadership, that I'm very appreciative when I asked for half of our police department to come out and walk the neighborhoods. People are used to always seeing us come out for different reasons, but these were good reasons to knock on the door and say who our NPOs are, what we do, leaving them with a stack of resources that they can have to know who to call and what programs are available. I think that really touched individuals in the community, and I look forward to continuing to do that. And I know that you're leaving at the end of the month, but when the bikes come in, we still have to go for our bike ride too through the neighborhood. So thank you for your time, your leadership, and the young ladies who were from SIU Carbondale. I don't think you understand the impact of you being out cleaning up the neighborhood with us in Vinegar Hill and encouraging them that they have went into law enforcement and within their own areas that they went back home to just by having you out there. I think sometimes when we have our department heads come out, it really means something to have the chief of police out into the community and talking with them and doing that one-to-one. So I do appreciate that. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Clerk Redpath.
Well, I've known Kenny for about 30 years. He was a young airman when I was the chief of security forces for the 183rd Security Police. I consider him one of my sons. He's who you want your kids to grow up to be like, that guy right there, because he can carry the water, and he's developed himself into one of the best police chiefs we've ever had. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for your service, and congratulations on your retirement. You've had some rough months in the last couple of months, and I'm really relieved that you were in the leadership position when all this stuff went down. You handled it well, and I appreciate your openness and your willingness to take responsibility, and also your fierce determination to defend your staff that's definitely something that's admirable. So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Scarlet, it's been a pleasure and honor getting to know you, and, I think you, again, much like Chief Cany, you always did what's best, I felt, for the citizens of Springfield, and I appreciate the openness as far as dealing with your staff, dealing with the MPOs out there. Again, I think that filters down from you, the responsiveness that, I think we've all got from your team, so good luck in the future, and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Chief. We are going to miss you. We're going to miss both of you. Your leadership really set a tone in the community that was something that we've needed and relied on. And I think we've all kind of said it one way or another, but your ability to sometimes tell us no or explain, uncomfortable truths or uncomfortable situations has been huge. And our city is stronger and better because of you. I know that you've been working to instill the integrity that you bring to your job in our police department, and I see that in the actions of your officers. So thank you. Thank you to your family also. Please let them know that we're going to miss you, but I'm excited for you and happy for you that you get this next stage of your life. It's a big step, but you've served everyone in this community well, and I speak for all of my ward. I think we all speak for our city, and we say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Alderman Downland.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Chief, when people say your name, typically the word leadership comes about. And thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership. And most importantly, thank you for caring about Springfield, 466 strong. All the best to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you. I got to meet Kenny because our kids started dating.
I didn't think you was gonna
Honest to
that
God, the day that they came up, for you to get, his daughter was here, and I was told, do not say anything to her. I was given the order. And my wife Lisa and I got to meet you and Tracy, and we love, your whole family, and we wish you the best of luck because your family's great, and unfortunately things didn't work out with the kids, but hey, that happens, and he didn't have to tase my son, I know that, so we're good. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much.
And we will follow up with everyone about a cake reception for the chief as well.
Yeah.
So
If I could
further
just say one
information.
more thing, Mayor. None of us took this job because it was easy, right? We took this job, whether up there or right here, to make a difference in this community. This is the community I was born and raised in. Springfield is my home, and I want to see the absolute best for the citizens of Springfield, for the men and women of the Springfield Police Department, and for city government, because I think it's important that we do what's right for this city. We are the capital city of the state of Illinois, and I look forward to great things to come around this horseshoe and also with the Springfield Police Department. So thanks for letting me be a brief part of it.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Chief. All right. Good job, Chiefs. To both chiefs. So the next item on the agenda will now be docket number 2024-042 for the property located at 2242 South 6th Street. The petitioner is 2222 South LLC. The present zoning classification is S2, Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031. The requested zoning relief is a variance of Sections 155.300C9, prohibited signs, signs with movement, 155.302B4, 5, and 7, general conditions for temporary signs, 155.302C1, banners, 155.302C3 and D, special provisions for temporary signs, 155.320A, B, D, and E, permitted accessory on-premise signs, 155.322C, illuminated signs, and 155.324, projecting signs. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is denial. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial, concur with the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. I know that the petitioner is here, so I'd like to ask for a motion so we can let him speak. Can I get a motion, please?
Sure. I move that we approve a variance of section 155.320 A, B, D, and E, permitted accessory on-premise signs to allow one pole-mounted sign and to waive the landscaping requirement for the sign poles, and to allow the signs to be located less than 10 feet from the street right-of-way, and approve a variance to section 155.322C, illuminated signs, to allow signs to be within 100 feet of a residential zoning lot. And I accept, for us to accept the petitioner's withdrawal of the remaining relief granted.
So I have a motion. Can I get a second? Second. We have a second. Thank you, Alderman. I see the petitioner has made it to the podium, so thank you. Do you want to go ahead and explain to the council the change in your petition so they understand what's happening, Mr. Jeffries?
I had originally asked for some additional signage, some feather flags and other things, and I've pulled all of that out of the request just to have the primary sign on the south side of the property where the sign has been for the previous steakhouses that were there over the decades. It's less than 100 feet from the houses across the street, and there's pavement underneath it, which is the request to not break up all the pavement and do the landscaping. We added more potted landscaping, additional trees and things in the actual seating area of the property to kind of make up for that difference.
Perfect. Does any council member have a question about the change in the petition first? I would like to just make sure that you're clear on what we're voting on. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, so can you kind of go over what exactly, what we're getting down to one sign with no, and then also, wasn't the issue also, IDOT wasn't thrilled about, did IDOT approve that? I know it's on IDOT's roadway. Is that
So
a factor, or is that all good now?
Mr. Harris, do you want to speak to that?
IDOT originally, their comments were regarding the signage along the right-of-way. They did not want any signage to project onto the state right-of-way, and it should be outside of the state right-of-way and not permanently installed to project over the right-of-way line on the roadway or to encroach onto the state right-of-way. So he's removing all the requests for those items, and here he's limiting it to one sign that will not be over the right-of-way.
So they're good, they should be good with it then, and we don't. All right, cool.
Any other,
I mean,
did you want to say something, Corporation Counsel?
Yeah, so the relief removed all issues with IDOT, and the only sign that's being sought now is where the old steakhouse sign was, and it goes the other way so as to not encroach on the right of way.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming up to explain the motion. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from the council? And I don't have anybody signed up to speak on this, so any other? All right, so voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-004 for the property located at 3245 Mathers Road.
Mayor? real
Alderman
quick,
Hanauer.
In order for you not to have to read all this, I make a motion, we hold this for 30 days.
We have a motion. Can we get a second? Second. We have a motion and a second to hold for 30 days. Any questions from the council on that? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Thank you, Alderman, for saving me from reading all of that. I appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-008. This is for the property located at 203 North Glenwood Avenue.
Madam Mayor,
Alderwoman Purchase.
I want to save you from reading all of that, too. I make a motion that we hold this for 30 days. I know we have
Second.
my neighbor, yeah, sorry.
We have a motion and a second. Go ahead, Alderwoman.
I know we have a lot of folks from my neighborhood over there in the audience. Me and the mayor are looking forward to doing a meeting with you all and coming together to speak about this a little bit more in detail. So you will be hearing from us pretty soon. And thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And there are two folks who have signed up to speak in advance, so we will call you up. But just to back up what the Alderwoman has said, her and I have spoken, and we will have a meeting so that you can all come and talk about what your concerns are. With that being said, the first person that signed up to speak on this item is Kurt DeWeese. Mr. DeWeese, are you here? There he is.
Yes, I reserved the testimony until 30 days from now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DeWeese. And the second person signed up to speak is Miranda Scott. Ms. Scott, are you here? Okay, thank you so much. So we have a motion and a second to hold for 30 days. Is there any discussion from the council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-009 for the property located at 2600 West Lake Shore Drive. The petitioners are Nancy Segato individually and as trustee of the Bernard G. Segato Testimony Trust. Present zoning classification is R1 Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016. Requested zoning relief is variance of Section 9 docks of Appendix A of the Lake Land Use Plan to allow the recently installed and current dock, which is 35 feet from the petitioner's property shoreline on Lake Springfield, to allow a 20-foot extension to a maximum of 55 feet from the shoreline from the point known as the normal full pool elevation instead of the maximum 35 feet allowed per code. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning staff recommendation is denial. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the petition as
Submitted by the petitioner.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the petitioner's request. Before, we do have one citizen signed up to speak. Before we bring that citizen up, is there any discussion from the council? All right, seeing none. It looks like Mike Barton has signed up to speak in advance. Mr. Barton, are you here?
Thank you for
Yes,
the
sir.
opportunity to be here. What we're dealing with is Lake Springfield, and as all of you know, it's a valuable piece of this city. And ultimately, you all have the responsibility to try and maintain and keep it what it is and what it's going to offer for generations to come. I've been fortunate to live for 10 years, enjoy it immensely, along with many other people. There's hundreds of homeowners that are out there, and we have all enjoy and need for this lake to be continued functional and usable for everybody. And what's being asked, and it's surprising to me that CWLP denied this for a reason. The Regional Planning Commission denied this for a reason. We can't go about letting everybody change by 60% the rules. Everyone knows the rules. Everyone has abided by the rules. I've built 2 boathouses. I knew what the rules were. You have a due diligence to figure out what you're going to do when you build to make sure it's workable and can be done. This property is located on the main body. It has houses on both sides and boat docks on both sides. Nobody has had a problem. I boated in that area forever. So nobody can be surprised. These people have lived on this lake longer than most people. They know the lake. They know what's going on. So there's not a newbie that's got a problem. They made a construction decision and built. And now they come back a year later and they say they want to make a change. And that just doesn't make sense. And there's a reason for that denial. And there's a reason for that, because we can't let this happen. If you allow this to happen, then there is not a reason you can deny anybody on Lake Springfield from getting a 55-foot dock. Because there's nothing out there. They are not back in a cove. There's nothing. And you've got an obligation to try and maintain and make sure this isn't changed. There's not a reason to do that. And we've got boaters, we've got fishing contests, there's a lot of people that are out there, and you're changing the integrity of the lake. Once you keep pushing things out, all you're doing is squeezing everybody closer to the middle, and everybody is out closer. And that's just less lake area to deal with. And if you haven't been out there on weekends, and particularly in the summer, it's very crowded. There's a safety issue when you've got too many boats trying to go around and get around. I know this is next year and it's in the no wake zone, but there's still a lot of boaters that go up. We have a lot of pontoons and tritoons on this lake that love to go around the lake in the no wake zone. They're all there. There's no reason that this is needed. And you're opening the door to letting everybody else come and say, well, I need a 57% increase so that I can do it. It's just not necessary, and you're going to set a bad precedent, and you're going to allow the lake to be permanently, ultimately changed so that it's going to be the detriment to not only my family and my family who wants to continue to live in my house after my generation, but you're denying everybody else that uses this lake and all the lake homeowners and saying that, okay, you know, we're going to make special rules, all right, instead of making the rules that have been there for all this time to apply to everyone. And that's what everyone has dealt with for years, and this isn't the reason. There's no justification for this council to make a change and to materially change Lake Springfield.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So there is a motion and a second to accept the petition as submitted. Is there any discussion from the council? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. Wait 1 minute. The voting went away. There we go. Okay, it's back. The voting will now be open. All those favoring the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Hit it. Come on. I vote aye. It's,
Alderman Hanover votes yes.
there it goes.
Okay.
I had to
So
use
the
the
motion
mouse.
passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-011 for the property located at 849 North 9th Street. The petitioner is North Arrow Development. The present zoning classification is R3B, General Residence District, Section 155.018, and S2, Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031. The requested zoning relief is variance of Sections 155.056, minimum required lot area per dwelling unit, to reduce the required square footage of lot area required per dwelling unit from the required 2,500 square feet lot area per dwelling unit to 1,257 square feet per dwelling unit, which on a lot of 30,184 square feet of lot area would allow for 24 dwelling units instead of 12 dwelling units, and 155.091B, required accessory off-street parking spaces, multifamily residences, reducing the required accessory off-street parking requirement from 1 1/2 spaces per dwelling unit to 1 space per dwelling unit. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning staff recommendation is approval. The Planning and Zoning recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'm excited to accept the recommendation as submitted.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation. Looks like we have somebody who would like to speak at the podium. Before we do that, I will ask, do any of the council members have any questions at this time? Okay. And I am excited to see you here speaking, so thank you. The work you do is amazing, so please go right ahead.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Appreciate your consideration this evening. My name is John Cronin. I'm with North Arrow Partners. We're part of the development team. I'm here with my colleagues from Envision Unlimited. They will be the owner, operator, manager of this Hope Springs expansion if we are, if you guys grant our variances. Just briefly, what we are proposing is a new construction of a 3-story, 24-unit apartment building for folks with disabilities. This is an extension really for what is the Hope Springs Apartments, which was built about 14 years ago. I was part of that development team too, 14 years ago. And that is 36 units for people with disabilities. Envision Unlimited, they have been operating Hope Springs Apartments there at 1135 North 9th Street for a number of years now. And they do great work, and I'm pleased to be working with them, and they're really addressing a very much of a need in this community and really everywhere in this country of providing housing for folks that really need housing and need that permanent supportive housing. So we had previously entertained trying to find a property that was immediately adjacent, but this one, which is at 849 North 9th Street, is very close, just about 2.5 blocks to the south. So the variances that I wanted to highlight, there are two. One is a density and one is a parking. The density requirement for the R3B that we're looking for some relief from is because of, we are still fulfilling with regards to setbacks and heights and things like that, but it would not allow for 24 units, it will only allow for 12. But this is 24 studio efficiency units, and again, in terms of the massing and volume and so forth, we are certainly compliant with all the setbacks that would be required otherwise. We're also, along 9th Street and that corridor, which I think the idea of having a multifamily building of this nature would be completely appropriate, in my opinion. So that's the density part of it. The parking is also, as with 24 units, you're required by code to have 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit. But again, this is for residents that have disabilities. So very few, less than half of the residents will even drive cars or have a car. And so we are offering 26 spaces, which is 1 space for every dwelling unit plus 2 for staff, which we think is ample. And there's a lot of data that we were able to give at the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding the usage of parking for the existing Hope Springs apartments, which again is, less than half of the spaces that we have out there. So I'm here to talk more about if you had any questions regarding the zoning and the physical, if you have any questions regarding the operations or the social service or the great work that Envision Unlimited does, Angela and Sharon are here to answer that too if you should have any questions. But again, I appreciate your consideration this evening. Thank you.
And I'm here to tell you that the community needs these units, and Envisions Unlimited does amazing work, and you do an amazing job managing it, so thank you. I know I've shared that with you before, but Alderman Williams.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank you guys too. I did wish that we had that natural expansion where you're currently at, and we got the KFC, but of course, somebody beat you to it, and you're going down the street, which takes you out of the best ward, Ward 3, into Ward 5, but the original will always be in Ward 3. You are the one entity on that North 9th Street who keeps that property so nice. And when I became alderman, I walked the neighborhood because I wanted to know what the residents thought, and I got nothing but positive feedback. So when that KFC became available, I was pushing and working with some of your organization to expand it on out, not just to take KFC, but go ahead and take the little hair shop there too. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, but you're still in the same area. It's still going to help create that look, because I know you're going to be good landscapers and really make 9th Street look classy. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Burgess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I echo a little bit of what he said. He just missed out. You'll be live from the 5. And we share this. So it's been awesome working with you all, being on the calls between me and Alderman Williams. And I live in Enos Park. So I walk my neighborhood all the time with my president, our neighbors. We just did a cleanup over in that area. It's always been positive feedback, so we just want to welcome you to our neighborhood to have your second location. And it's perfect because it sits right in the medical district where the residents of this facility need those services, those rapid services that you spoke with me and the mayor about. And so I just think it's the perfect location. So thank you all for choosing this and making it your permanent home.
Thank you, thank you.
I thank you as well, again. Any other discussion? Are you okay, Alderman Williams? Okay. So seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Congratulations, Mayor.
And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-012 for the property located at tenant spaces 1937 and 1941 West Isles Avenue. Petitioner is William R. Marriott Family Limited Partnership Limited. The present zoning classification is S2 Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031. The requested zoning relief is conditional permitted use pursuant to Sections 155.031C7 and 155.211 to permit the operation of a restaurant with the service of alcoholic beverages for consumption on site on a lot adjoining a lot in the R1, R2, or R3 zoning district, and Sections 155.031C6 and 155.210 to permit the sale of packaged liquor. A variance of Section 155.210B, packaged liquor sales, to permit packaged liquor sales on a lot within 100 feet of a residential zoning lot, church, park, school, community facility, or commercial daycare center. The conditional permitted uses and variants are limited to tenant spaces 1937 and 1941 West Isles Avenue and the patio dining area. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval of the requested conditional permitted uses provided that, 1, the proposed restaurant and packaged liquor sales area shall not exceed 4,800 square feet of total building area in tenant spaces 1937 and 1941 West Isles Avenue, and 2, the outdoor dining area shall be limited to no more than 600 square feet total, to be located south of the principal customer entrance of the property and be limited to tenant spaces 1937 and 1941 West Isles Avenue. Approval of the variance as submitted. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is concur with the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion we accept the plan and zoning recommendation of approval.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council? Does the petitioner want to speak? No? Okay. With that being said, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-013 for the property located at 3105 Great Northern Drive. The petitioners are CSMB Investments LLC. The present zoning classification is I2 Heavy Industrial District, Section 155.041. The requested zoning relief is variance of Sections 155.111, access to off-street parking facilities, to allow the petitioner to have a driveway constructed without Portland cement concrete approach slab extending from the edge of the roadway to the right-of-way line, 155.112 surfacing, to allow construction of an open off-street parking and vehicle storage area of dustless millings and rock without requiring a wearing surface of asphaltic, concrete, or comparable hard surface, 155.136 regulations for surfacing of off-street loading facilities, to allow the petitioner to construct open off-street loading spaces of dustless rock and millings without requiring plans for accessory off-street parking areas or a building permit, 155.143 plan of off-street parking or loading areas to proceed without constructing an open off-street parking and vehicle storage area of dustless rock and millings without requiring plans for accessory off-street parking areas or a building permit, and 155.480 landscape screening and lighting regulations to allow the petitioner to construct a parking area without requiring a landscape plan, including but not limited to installation and maintenance of parking, landscaping, screening, and lighting, and the points related thereto. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is denial. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial of the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission and approve the variances as submitted, provided that the total number of vehicles allowed on the subject property shall be limited to 70 vehicles. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion we accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. Is there any alders that have any discussion on this item? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-014 for the property located at 3353 Atlanta Street. Petitioners are Autobahn Company Incorporated. Present zoning classification is I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 155.040. The requested zoning relief is variance of Sections 155.112, surfacing, and 155.136, regulations, for surfacing of off-street loading facilities to allow petitioner to create an equipment, machinery, and stone and block storage yard on an aggregate surface with such storage yard created in accordance with and similar to the proposed site plan per Exhibit B of the petition and stated in paragraph B of the petition. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is denial. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is approval of the petition as submitted. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendations of the Springfield Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation. Any discussion from the alders? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Thank you, Alderman. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-015 for the property located at 232 West Edward Street and 606 South College Street. Petitioner is Illinois Automobile Dealers Association. Present zoning classification is S3 Central Shopping District, Section 155.032. The requested zoning relief is conditional permitted use pursuant to Sections 155.032C1. Conditional permitted uses in S3 Central Shopping District, accessory off-street parking lots not on the same zoning lot as the use reserved, and 155.183 accessory off-street parking not on the same zoning lot as the use served. 155.032C2. Conditional permitted uses in the S3 Central Shopping District, commercial parking lots, and 155.184 commercial off-street parking, a variance of Section 155.480K1 landscape screening and lighting regulations, and site and parking area lighting requirements. The Springfield Sangamon County Regional Staff recommendation is approval of the requested conditional permitted use for a commercial parking lot, provided a sign with the owner or manager's address and telephone number per Section 155.184C is placed on parts of the subject property to be used as a commercial parking lot. Approval of the other conditional permitted uses and variances as submitted. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is concur with the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission for approval. The chair will entertain a motion.
That was a lot. Madam Mayor, I move to accept the Planning and Zoning recommendation as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation of the Springfield Planning and Zoning Commission. Is there any discussion from the alders? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2025-016 HIST for the property located at 528 South 5th Street. Petitioners are Americans for Prosperity. Present zoning classification is H2 Historical District, Section 155.266B. The requested zoning relief is variance pursuant to Section 155.278, variances of bulk requirements for a variance of Section 155.275 H2 bulk regulations for signage as follows. On the west-facing facade of the building has 4 windows approximately 58.5 inches height by 70.75 inches width and wishes to install 4 80 by 20 perforated optically clear laminate coverings which will contain signage and images for the business as per Exhibit A of the petition. Total signage is approximately 115 square feet. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval with the limitation that the 4 signs shall not be illuminated or non-digital. Historic Sites Commission recommendation is accept the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission for approval with the condition that any changes to the signs as shown in the petition must be approved by the Historic Sites Commission. Chair will entertain a motion.
Yes, Mayor, I move to accept the Historic Sites recommendation.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the Historic Sites Commission recommendation. Is there any discussion from any of the alders? Alderman Gregory.
I would just say, I have seen the sign, and I have received, the small bit of concerns that was on that, so I'm happy that Historic Sites did work with any changes being approved by them before. Thank you.
They did. Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. This now concludes the zoning portion of the meeting.
Yes, boy.
The chair will now recognize Treasurer Redpath Fager for the presentation of the financial report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Treasurer's report for the corporate fund for the month of March. Beginning balance is $58,768,026. We took in total receipts of $11,174,331. Total disbursements, $11,411,740, which left the corporate fund ending balance in the month of March at $58,530,617. The ending general fund balance includes $10,323,663, which is the March ending balance for the ARPA money. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer. The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the alders? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will also recognize the Budget Director, Metzger, for any questions on the OBM contract report. Does anyone have any questions on that? Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a question so much as just, I was pleased to see on the OBM report that we are giving $32,000 to Clean Slate Advocates. I know Mr. Frazier is here again, and it's encouraging to see that he's, working with OPED and getting money from the city for a project that I think we all agree is critical and important to the community. So just want to say thank you for that being in here and looking forward to seeing more progress at Clean Slate Advocates.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. Any other discussion? All right, moving along then. The chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the April 1st, 2025 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion
Discussion.
on the pre-council reading of
Oh. Yes, Mayor.
ordinances for next week? Alderman Gregory?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. I need to pull, Murdoch, help me out, 2025-168 out, and put it on, this agenda for emergency passage. And the
So
reason.
Alderman Gregory, you would like to pull 2025-168 out for emergency passage, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and read that in the record? Murdoch, Corporation Counsel Murdoch, it's the liquor license for Tequila El Palo.
Right, I'm just trying to track, did we have a motion on the, or have we approved the?
Not yet. You want to approve this
No,
first?
we need to
First reading?
approve the reading of the pre-council of the ordinances first.
Okay.
And then we can take your
Pull
motion.
it out?
Thank you.
Okay. I'll be right with you, Alderman.
Sorry.
That's okay, you're good. Any other discussion on the first reading of ordinances? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now that that is approved, Alderman Gregory, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to, pull 2025-168, from first reading on emergency passage for the.
So moved. Second, I mean.
So we have a motion and a second to pull ordinance 2025-168 out for emergency passage, which is an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by one for Tequila El Palo Corporation, DBA Tequila El Palo, located at 635 West Jefferson Street. So we will move that with the emergency passages at the end of the meeting, if that's okay, Alderman? So all those in favor of taking this out of order and putting it with the emergency passage ordinances, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay, and we'll revisit this vote in just a little bit. Alderman Hanauer, do you have any questions?
Well, I'll deal with it when we get
Get
to
there?
it. I just was wondering, my question, and it'll be, I can ask it then, is, I don't know that have we done any emergency passages of liquor licenses? I don't know, I'm just trying to think back of, have we? I don't know.
We have, and we can discuss that when this.
Okay, that's fine.
Comes up.
Thank you, Alderman.
Good to know.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to be marked as present on 2025-143.
Did you hear that? 2025-143?
143, it's the DNR. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any other discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting no. The agenda number 2025-155 remains tabled or in committee.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, if you're ready to move on to the debate agenda.
Yes, sir. Alderman Donlin.
I'd like to make a motion to bring 2025-156 to the front.
So there's a motion from Alderman Donlin to bring agenda item 2025-156 to the front of the debate agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to read that into the record. The next item on the agenda is 2025-156, an ordinance approving Addendum 7 to the agreement with Springfield-Sangamon County Growth Alliance, formerly known as Land of Lincoln Economic Development Corporation, for the period beginning March 1st, 2025, and ending February 28th, 2026, by authorizing an additional payment of $250,000 for a total amount not to exceed $2 million for the Office of Planning and Economic Development. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2025-156 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and I know we have a couple of things going on with this. So the first thing I'd like to do before we bring up discussion or amendments is, I know Ryan McCready is here from the Growth Alliance to give a presentation, so I'll ask Mr. McCready to come up first.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I will not read my full report to you because the constructive feedback I got last year was that I talked too long. So I tried to listen to that. But was able to send you in advance a hard copy and also electronic copy of our annual report. Just to kind of summarize that, on our audit report, we have an audit done every year. We had another clean audit done. And our audit for fiscal year 24 is currently underway. Our fiscal year ends and runs with the calendar year. And so we expect to have that done shortly, and also expect to have a clean audit from that report. And a copy of that audit report is always provided to the city. On regional economic development, you know, as our contract with you requires, we work with our region of economic developers. We do have a marketing plan, marketing presence out there now under ymidillinois.org. This is an effort to market all of central Illinois, basically right across the center of the state, for business opportunities. We've received a lot of positive feedback from the state of Illinois, from Intersect Illinois, and from national organizations about being able to advertise the benefits of the entire region. That helps them get interested in individual communities. So we're excited to have that up and running. As far as job activity in your local economy, it's still very robust. There's still a good, strong demand for labor, and more importantly, a really good response from our local citizens. As of the end of 24, we had about 1,000 more employed individuals than we did before the pandemic. And over the last year, the latest report is a February report. We have 700 more employed people than we did a year ago. So that's a very good response from our workers. Midwestern work ethic's a real thing, and it exists here. Wages are staying at about $31 per hour on average for private employers. That number has stayed pretty consistent, which is good because it went up about 23% during the pandemic. So that number has stayed pretty consistent. We also are working very hard to retain businesses that are here. It's something often overlooked in economic development is business retention. We once again had over 100 meetings with businesses across the community last year. My staff and I did to stay in touch with them, let them know that we appreciate that they're here. That's a very important part of economic development is keeping your businesses and letting them know that you appreciate that they're here. We also find opportunities to expand those businesses, opportunities to bring the city, the mayor, and OPED and city staff in to assist with those also. We continue to support the Office of Planning and Economic Development and Director Raising. We have great confidence in the OPED department. They're doing a great job, and my staff and I are able to offer support and expertise on some things. We talk with them frequently, meet with them frequently, multiple times a month, to make sure that all our efforts are consistent and working in the same direction. On some major projects, the Shield Sports Complex is under construction. They're looking to inflate the dome late spring, early summer, and they'll have events out there this fall and full events starting in 2026. I understand they already have dozens of events already booked for 2026 out at the sports complex. Pillsbury Mills redevelopment, I'm very excited to say, as we speak, they're actually at the site doing the environmental remediation, and then demolition will follow. The money has been assembled to take that site, completely clean it up, and take every structure all the way down to the ground. And we are entertaining some really robust interest from developers about purchasing and developing that site and turning it into what we all hoped it would be. So we're very excited to see that project moving forward, and we appreciate the support of the city, the financial support, but also there's a lot of city staff that's helping with getting ready for the demolition, remediation, and all the grant dollars that go into that. We're continuing to work through the Downtown Med District Master Plan. The mayor's putting together an implementation plan for that. That'll be coming back before you here very soon. On MacArthur Boulevard, we'll continue to support businesses along MacArthur Boulevard that will be impacted by the redevelopment of MacArthur Boulevard, as IDOT will come forward with the city and do that project. So we're continuing to work with them to explain their opportunities. The warehousing projects are under construction, and that's the Amazon warehouse on North Dirksen Parkway, rapidly under construction. The warehouse on Palm Road, we're continuing to talk to that developer also about that project. And we'll continue to stay in contact with them, working through the city and the city project manager. We were excited to support multifamily residential developments recently. The city did an outstanding job. City staff did a great job of supporting those. Housing shortage is a real thing nationally. It's a real thing in our community, specifically for leased multifamily housing opportunities. The development that was approved by Larkspur Development, the former Town and Country Shopping Center, and then the Joyner Development project on Far West Wabash are two big steps in the right direction to providing housing and multifamily housing opportunities. And that's going to be really important as the jobs continue to grow. We also last year were able to connect local developers and bankers with a number of alternative capital resources through a seminar that we hosted. These are things that access either through low-income housing tax credits, new market tax credits, a lot of different programs that apply to a number of areas of Springfield. We're able to make a lot of introductions there, educate them on those alternative capital opportunities, and then it's going to be exciting to see how those get applied and put into projects around the community. We continue to support Dominic Watson at CAP 1908, the Springfield project, with the work that they're doing, supporting and assisting with them gathering the funding they need. We continue to support the UIS Innovation Center. We provide them funding and also other support for the work that they do in downtown Springfield. We have put a lot of effort and continue to put effort into site readiness, have our sites being ready to develop, specifically for those sites that are in the city of Springfield. Work closely with the mayor, with Matt McLaughlin, with the zoning staff, and then City Water, Light, and Power also to be able to know where utilities exist, where they can provide utilities, because that helps us drive development in those areas where the infrastructure exists. And you should know that your city staff is unbelievably responsive, and we've really enjoyed working with them. I recently participated in the trade mission to Mexico with Governor Pritzker. That was probably why I was sick last week and couldn't come to the committee of the whole meeting. But that was a great trip, a great experience to go on that trade mission with Governor Pritzker and be able to bring our community forward to opportunities in Mexico. Mexico is an enormous trading partner with the state of Illinois. About $13 billion a year is exported from Illinois into Mexico. And there is a lot of conversation about trade at the national level, but we can continue to foster that strong relationship while all that gets sorted out. So it was a really good experience. We've continued our marketing campaign. You've seen the metrics from those in our report. And then we continue to be very closely involved with workforce development and diversity, working with our partners, whether that's at Illinois WorkNet Center. I sit on the Workforce Investment Board, working with Lincoln Land Community College, University of Illinois at Springfield, and also a lot of other entities in the community that are doing programming to prepare our workforce. We also provide feedback to those workforce training organizations about information we get from businesses as far as what are the workers, what do they have that they need, and more importantly, what do they not have when they show up, and how do we make sure we can do that? Another effort that we started in conjunction with the city and the Chamber of Commerce in Sangamon County was a youth job fair. We just had it a few weeks ago. We were hearing a lot of feedback from employers that when basically high school graduates showed up in the workplace, they didn't have a lot of years of work experience. And we were explaining to the employers, well, if you want them to have 2 years of work experience when they're 18, you need to give them a job when they're 16. It's amazing they'll show up with 2 years of work experience if we have those youth job opportunities. And so in response to that, we have a specific job fair before a regular Chamber of Commerce job fair. We work with the school districts, and they bring high school students in. We match them up with employers that are looking to hire potentially high school students a lot of times for summer employment. And that's the second year we've done that, and we've had hundreds of high schools bring busloads of high school students in, and it's exciting to see the interviews happening right there at the job fair, and we will continue to support that too. And we're very grateful for the support all of you give us and the financial support. Enjoy the relationship. 2024 was a busy year in our economy here locally, and I believe 2025 is going to be just as good or better. It's definitely starting off as a busy year, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
We do have a couple alders signed up to speak, so Alderman Donlin. Thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. McCready, for being here this evening. Always appreciate your presentations, especially when they're more brief than last time. So
Thank you.
that's
Yep.
appropriate. No, on a serious note, Ryan, I would be remiss if I didn't ask for your help. I know we've had a lot of things going on with this project, and I don't even know if I'd characterize it as a project, but Old Town Apartments out west, there's a problem there. Anything you can do to help, we'll just leave it at that. I know you're always more amenable. I think we've talked about it in the past.
Yeah.
At different phases of it.
Yep.
Also, you know, one of the things that Alderwoman Purchase and I have talked about over the months is, you know, downtown has been hit hard. And I know she's working hard, the mayor's working hard, the staff's working hard, but we've been presented with some things that are quite unique, needless to say. And we welcome any help you can provide. I know Alderwoman Purchase is all on board on that. She talked to me about that. But I just remiss if I didn't say it, because that is the heart of downtown. We talked about that when we did our tour a few years ago. It impacts every one of us. But one of the questions that I get when it comes to the Growth Alliance and from periodically from constituents is, you know, what's the difference between the Growth Alliance and the city's Office of Planning and Economic Development? And I just want to make sure that I'm not messing this up. So if you could just bear with me for a second. The way I describe it is, of course, our Office of Planning and Economic Development does have foresight and does do economic development work, but their primary function of the staff is they administer programs. They have TIF money, grants, CDBG money, home funds, all these funds and programs in which people can apply for funds, and it can be reinvested or invested in the community. I think we gave an example, Alderwoman Conley gave an example of that earlier when we were talking about the contract report, of things that could be done to change the area, certain areas of the community, because not every area qualifies. But what you do is more of a, and I don't mean to minimize it, but I'm just going to simplify it. It's not only attracting businesses, which we all know is extremely important, but encouraging and finding out what businesses here locally need help expanding.
Right.
And those things go hand in hand. But you're also a marketer of the area, and I don't mean just Springfield, it's Sangamon County, because we have this partnership that is so important. But you are not in the business of, people don't apply for money to the Growth Alliance and get it from the Growth Alliance. That's a program, at least in the city of Springfield, that we have through our Office of Planning and Economic Development. Am I right in my summary?
No, I think your assessment is really good. And one of the things I've had that we've been educating the community about is the model for economic development we have with the Growth Alliance, being a public-private partnership, is still fairly new in this community, 7 years. It actually is the standard of what you would find across the country as far as how communities do economic development. And although it's new here, it's not new other places. So when I ran the Decatur Economic Development Corporation, they were established in 1978. And so this model is and it's so standard that even the state of Illinois now uses the same model for economic development, working through Intersect Illinois. You're exactly right. Our ability to go out and sell the community externally for business attraction is really important. That's also a tool that businesses use to attract workers too. as far as selling the community. As far as running programs, the reason we don't run those or do those specific grant programs is the programs you're talking about all directly use tax dollars. Some local, some federal, some state. If you cede that authority to someone that's not a governmental body, you lose that ability for the taxpayers to have some engagement about how that money is used. And so it's really important to preserve the ability of the taxpayers to be able to be involved in that way. And then also businesses, whether they're businesses that are here or developers that are looking to come or businesses that are looking to come here, reach out to organizations like the Growth Alliance, not because they don't want to deal with government, but because they have to work in a way that's confidential because of the competitive business environment that they're in. And they respect the fact that all of you have a lot of public disclosure requirements that go along with the work that you do. So it makes it more difficult for you, the city, to be able to provide that level of anonymity. We can also, obviously, we connect with the city as soon as necessary to look at programs or zoning. Not every project needs an incentive. Most of them don't, actually. What they need to know is what's the process for getting zoning and building permits and those kind of things. We can also connect them with the state of Illinois programs too. So we work very, very closely with them in that way.
Ryan, we've talked in the past, in your past reports, that you have a board of directors, I guess I'll call it. How many sit on that board? I don't remember.
28 now.
28. Do you have working groups also, like subcommittees of some sort?
We don't typically have working group subcommittees, but our executive committee meets monthly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And there are 7 members of the board that are the board officers that meet on a monthly basis. The board meets 6 times a year in the odd-numbered months of the year.
And you mentioned that you meet on a regular basis with our staff and other economic development groups throughout the region. Is that right?
Yeah, we have multiple standing meetings a month, and then we also talk very frequently. But we've dedicated established times to make sure that we all get together, that we don't get busy and forget to do that.
I'm impressed with occasionally we get to see the marketing efforts here locally because it kind of bleeds into the local news, or online of some sort. I'm impressed with those efforts, and I'm impressed with, and you won't talk about this, but you have the ability and wherewithal to, when you're at an event, let's say in some other city, marketing this area to through social media, capture, I'll say advertising, I don't know what else to say, but make sure that the people know you're there and what we're all about. And and it's not very expensive, but it is extremely effective nowadays.
It is. When I go to a conference to meet with developers and site selectors, be careful saying this publicly because our competition will find out, but we geofence the site of the meeting, which just means we draw a digital fence around that, and then we drop targeted ads about our community on their phones. And so while they're at the event, they'll meet myself or my staff, but then whatever they're scrolling through their phone, they're going to get pop-up ads about Springfield too. And as they click on those ads, then we've really got them because they go back to a landing page and we have those connections.
And I only knew about this because you told me like 3 years ago when I think you were at one of these events. So anyway,
it's been a really, really effective tool for us and helped us. You have to constantly touch, right, and can do as many touches as you can in marketing, and it's been a really effective tool for us.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity occasionally for us. We've been invited to go to your, I think, annual meeting, I'll call it, and I appreciate all you do. But most importantly, your openness and honesty. You always seem to be willing to listen. You don't always agree. We can't always. We've tried some things that didn't get off the ground a few years ago, but budgetary constraints got in the way, I think. But you always listen and try to put the pieces together, and I know we'll continue to do that. But it's not easy what you do. And Mayor, I'm done. Thank you.
I'll follow up with you with the city staff on Old Town Apartments too, in downtown. Yeah, thank you.
Follow up with her.
Yes, right.
That's
Both
right.
of you.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Mayor. So Ryan, thank you for coming. Missed you last week. I'm glad you're feeling better. So we've had some preliminary conversations just about some thoughts that I had as far as a minority subcommittee within the Growth Alliance, and to really focus on East Side. We just found out we had an East Side plan. Comprehensive plan is inside the comprehensive, all of these things, and through discussion with my colleagues, we really want to see some of that focus, and I get it, right? There's 28, 38 members, or I just count them all up, executive board, board members.
There's
I know.
28 board members.
28 total?
Yeah, and seven of them are on the executive committee.
is on the
So there's, of the 28, 7 are on the exec committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is any people of color on the executive committee?
Not anymore.
Okay.
We had a gentleman of color on the executive committee, and then he delegated the job to somebody else in his organization
Okay.
that is not of color.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked that because I think those things are important.
I understand.
I think
Yes.
anytime, for the city, if we look to survive through, and this is my opinion, if we look to survive through these hard times that we're coming upon, federal government taking money, slashing things, we're gonna have to rise the level of self-sustainability. And that means our people in Springfield working. When I go around and look at these projects, several projects, I won't name them out, but I scratch my head, I say, young black men and women can't lay grass, we can't lay fences, because they're not on those projects. Not very many of them. You know, I missed the Pillsbury meeting, but I can tell you their attitudes over there is not very people of color working on a job friendly, in my opinion. So I don't even go. I just get the thing down, we'll work on what's gonna go there, and go on back west. Because if we don't involve the community and we don't have people working, if we have, I asked Mr. Lesko for our numbers. 2 projects, $65 million. How much would you say have went to minority businesses or people of color?
Are those public works projects?
The sports complex. Do you know any numbers on that? How many, what's the minority?
I don't know. I know they have a project labor agreement.
They do.
And so that's, on any development project that gets city incentives with a project labor agreement, it seems like those issues are something that has to be wrapped into that project labor agreement, which I'm never a part of negotiating. That's typically between the city and the labor unions.
I get it. I'm not pushing that on you, but I'm just saying that as we're working at the top and we're trying to get big partners, Frito-Lay and all these buildings, if we don't have minorities and people of color working on them, it doesn't help us any. It helps a little bit. A few people of color, minorities will get a job. But the big money, the millions of dollars, won't ever see the community. Governor Magazine, 10 years ago before me, they did that report? If I'm a betting man, I would bet that it has not improved. So we're doing good things, right? I'm very proud of my record, but it ain't enough because the disparities haven't closed. So that's why I come with this. I said, man, we got to think. We can't let $250,000 go out the door without us making sure that we direct it to our most priority need areas. And that's why I brought that amendment, not to.
What amendment?
This amendment to do a
I haven't seen one, so I'm not sure what amendment you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the subcommittee amendment to create a subcommittee under the Growth Alliance to make sure that we're focusing on East Side. The East Side plan needs updated. It has been updated since 2010. We talked about that. So those type of things is what we want to do. As you were speaking on the expertise and helping bridge the gap between funding, not that you're the source of the application, but helping these smaller businesses find those gaps, build their businesses. Because in my ward, we're not going to get the type of businesses that you look for. We might get it on the Salvation Army that we just tore down. We might get a gas station. We might get something good there. But in my ward, we don't have that. Every business that's down 11th Street, most of them are black-owned businesses, smaller businesses, emerging businesses, and they need the Growth Alliance, or they need the city's funding help as well. Right, and so that's why after careful conversations with my colleagues, I wanted to put together something that directs this funding, some of it, to go to that subcommittee, so they can get out and they can start being proactive to our smaller businesses to help them rise up. Downtown, I didn't only think of the east side, I thought of our most pressing areas. Corporation Counsel Murdoch did a great job writing the amendment and really opening up my mind to some other areas, just so I'm not being tunnel vision on one, because I want all of our smaller businesses to grow, because that's just how we're going to sustain, and making sure that our people are working on these projects that come. Sports complex, what's the first thing we do? It's getting built, but who gonna manage it? He don't even live here. That's not your fault. I don't blame you.
Well, that are building the sport complex don't live here?
The manager, he doesn't even live here. The guy that's gonna run it, the guy that's gonna get paid $100,000, whatever, to run it, he don't even live in Springfield.
Okay.
He's not from here.
Well, he's not from here, but he's moved here.
You get what I'm saying?
I mean, he lives here, right?
Okay, he lives here now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
out
I
of
mean,
115,000
Our businesses
people.
recruit a lot of new people to town.
I get it, but
So,
I'm just saying, out of 115,000 people, you know, for us to get a guy from outside of town, whatever. And then I'll say on that piece, and this is in Jennifer's ward, on the sports complex, you know, it's being built, everybody's happy about it, but we still haven't got our community engagement piece from them before. And this excludes Mr. McCormick. I like him. I think he's a great guy. But I feel like some of our other developers, you know, we sit here, we talk this minority stuff, and it's like, oh, you know, they're just talking. They don't believe fat meat is greasy, but I promise you it is. And if I have to call on my people and go to the projects and stand in front of them to get our people in front and cause a lot of commotion, I'll go to jail about this. I promise you. About us working on these projects and really rising the level of minority respect in this city, because what's going on in that, we ain't having it here. We ain't doing it. I don't care what Trump say. I don't care what he DEI and all that craziness. We're not going to cut out here in Springfield black folks, people of color, from the funding, our funding. Everybody else can go do what they want. Everybody else on your board, they private business, they can do whatever they want with their money. But Springfield's money has to be for everybody. It has to be focused on everybody. We did take a great trip. Please, I'm trying to finish. We did take a great trip to Pullman. Great trip to Pullman. And we did go see an incubator. But really what was impressive is how Pullman used the factory, the old train factory, to stabilize the community, to start building out the community. And that's what was more important than just the incubator itself, but to see how they used that historical site. The A. Philip Randolph worked 10 years just to form that union so black people can be in the union, right? And now that area is starting to grow again. We see Walmart with you know, not historically union built and on, but they made strides for it. Had all types of greenery on the roof and doing some things that community wanted them to do. So that's sort of what I'm looking at for the Growth Alliance to look at for a community like mine who has just about every historical site, including Lincoln's Homes, all in Ward 2, Elijah House, Lincoln Homes, Ambassador House, Lincoln Color Home, those people that we see on the mural, all of their homes and buildings are in Ward 2. And so we have an opportunity to really build upon that and change the community. We wouldn't be here if somebody didn't lie and burn it all down. We wouldn't even be talking about it. You wouldn't even have me here, right? So I'm very, very, very serious about it. You know, I'm sorry I missed you on the call when I came in. Your application was there, and there's some other things I want to talk about, but I'm gonna let the prospective alderman do it. But when we talk about downtown, give me one second.
On these contracts on development, I don't disagree with you. I will say almost every single one of those, the city has a contract involved with that development, and those things should be in there. I mean, that's not something the Growth Alliance can force. You're the enforcement agency. So I would not disagree with you about the importance of doing that. I agree. I just want you to understand the limits of my ability to make it happen.
Right.
That's this body is who can make that happen. And I would support that. Right. I'm just not in a position to force it. But every time I get someone that is interested in looking at making an investment in Springfield, the first place I talk to them about is East Springfield.
Right.
the very first thing. When Alderman Williams has brought up the East Side Plan multiple times and I couldn't find it and couldn't get anyone to tell me where it was, I found it.
Right.
Finally.
I get
You know, and not only did I find that one, I found multiple East Side plans that are on file that haven't been implemented. And I'm surprised about that too, because when you think about things like the East Side TIF, all the streetscape work, that can be funded through TIF.
Absolutely.
The cannabis money, the $500,000 in cannabis money every year, that's money that could go to do big projects too. So I believe there's.
Or the portion that goes to the police and fire pension.
So, right, but there's funding and there's plans. So that's why I'd offered to come together and say, let's get together and figure out how to plan this. As far as amendment to our contract, I've not seen any amendment. I'm not at liberty to accept anything without talking to my board. Because I'm caught off guard by that, because in an agreement, it's two people have an agreement, and the agreement we have doesn't allow the Growth Alliance to unilaterally change anything in it without an agreement from all of you.
So when we was on the phone, I asked you, would you be okay and comfortable with a subcommittee that's focused on this? And you
Yeah,
said yes.
but it didn't say anything about amending our contract. I can't unilaterally approve a contract amendment.
Well, I'm gonna put the amendment in, we can vote it up, vote it down.
Okay.
But I won't support the Growth Alliance if we can't just do a simple thing and focus on small.
I'm not saying we can't. I'm just saying I don't know.
I'm not
Yeah.
mad at you.
Yeah.
I'm not tripping with you. You're a good guy. I like you. I know you got a job to do.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is this
I
is
understand.
city funding.
Yep.
And this is what I think is best for our wards, for my ward in particular,
Mm-hmm.
is to shave some of that off and direct them to focus on small businesses and east side development. You just said we didn't even know what the east side plan was. So who's thinking about us? Again, we go to Washington D.C., no people of color.
No.
So who's thinking about us? So now I can't take just words, I have to put it in writing.
That's fine.
There's no way I can believe anything that we're gonna rebuild the east side. No way can I accept it just off talking. I like a lot of people. I respect a lot of people, but I got a job to do too, and to make sure that we start progressing on the east side and not all of this tippy-tap stuff. And like I say, I'm very proud of the record that I have, but we have so much more work to do from the city perspective and within my own community. I don't let them off the hook either, right? We all have to pick it up and do better, especially in these times. We have no time to wait. $33 million worth of ARPA funds. We didn't get the bulk of it, right? We didn't invest that into the east.
I don't know.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I'm
about that.
I'm not. See, what's crazy is, right, we like, oh yeah, we work with our economic development team, we do this, we do that, but then when I put the heat, it's like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I get it, but I'm just saying that this is where I'm at. I'm gonna be watching these projects, and I promise, if I don't see changes on these projects, all of them, we just gonna have to have it out about these projects and getting people of color and minorities on them. I'm tired of it. It is ridiculous to keep having to talk about it and beg and beg. Then I'm upset and tripping. Everybody, hey, Shawnee, come on, man. So that's what I wanted to speak to you about. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing on the big level, Growth Alliance level, and I'm just trying to bring us down here to in my area, because we got different needs. We just have so many different needs. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm supportive of what Alderman Gregory is bringing forward. I want to start with that first, but after listening to Alderman Gregory and Alderman Donnelly, Ryan, this is the main reason, and I'm not trying to be funny. I know how you said you took in and listened last year about being short. Did you forget about bringing updates? I had asked last year, could you guys bring updates to us 2 or 3 times a year, and you probably wouldn't be getting some of what Alderman Gregory is saying right now. You just went through a whole list of things in less than 5 minutes to share with everyone. But if you broke it down and did it 2 or 3 times a year to just show progress and updates and concerns that I never hear you guys say the concerns that you have until it's coming right before us to get approved for your funding. So I really, really ask before next year if you could try to bring some of this information forward and talk about these projects that's going on and what we may need to do to help you if you see something missing. Sean we've been talking about this all week since last Tuesday. this amendment that he's bringing forward. And my antennas went up when you just said you didn't know anything about the amendment, because he shared with us that he spoke with you about the amendment.
We talked about the Growth Alliance getting involved in a subcommittee to look at the stuff on the east side, and I was accepting of that. No one has said anything to me about amending our funding.
So, Mayor, if you're okay with it, can I just ask Sean one question to elaborate on?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Thank you. So when Sean asked to do the $50,000, it's not really taking anything away from you. It's the same people that's on your board. It's just shifting some of the funds that's within your board. Am I right, Sean?
So they can operate, yes. It ain't no different.
And you're saying that you need to go back to your board to ask them if it's okay for us to amend our money to move over to that section. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is, we have a contract with the city, and the contract lays out things that we're supposed to do specifically. I have to follow that contract. The contract I have with the city tells me I have to do certain things. And so what we're doing is amending the contract. I'm not saying we're against it. What I'm saying is I don't have the authority as president of the Growth Alliance. I can't just approve those contracts myself. I'm not saying they won't approve it.
I definitely understand that, and that's why we got Greg Mordock. He can't help with that contract that our money comes to fund for your group.
Yeah.
I really hope that this is not an issue amongst your group, because I know some of them may be watching now too.
I'm not saying it, I want to be clear. I'm not saying it is an issue with them, but if they see me out agreeing to things on behalf of the Growth Alliance outside the scope of my authority as president, then probably not going to have a job very long. So I'm not anticipating whether they're up or down. What I'm saying is I haven't asked them. So I'm going to be clear about that. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm not saying they're against it. It's just I haven't had the conversation with them.
I think
Because
that,
I didn't know about that change that was going to be
Sean,
proposed to the
did you tell
agreement.
him about the 50,000 or no?
No, I don't have to ask. I told him I was gonna do a subcommittee, and in my conversations with Corporation Counsel, I felt like they needed an operating budget. It's only $50,000 out of $250,000 out of a group has gotten $2 million since I've sat up here since 2019. So I don't wanna hear nothing about no $50,000. Lucky it ain't more. Or I can just come back and just do a whole one for the east side only and give somebody $150,000 to worry about us and worry about we're our development. This is crazy to even have this long of a conversation about saying, oh, make a subcommittee, give them $50,000 so they can operate, not give it to the businesses that they helping so they can host seminars, so they can bridge the gap, just like you doing for the rich white boys. Right? Right? Isn't that what you do? You help them, you take them by their hand, and you say, come on, Frito-Lay, I got land out here, I got land here, I got land here. That's what you do, and that's what I want them to do with businesses on the east side and business over. I want them to take them by their hand and help them.
So I just wanted to clear, Ryan, that don't need a response. I just wanted to clarify what Alderman Gregory was asking. We are supporting this amendment coming forward that he's getting ready to put on the floor. I hope my colleagues support it too. I know that you're raising some concern about your board, but I can see if it was your board money, but it's coming from the horseshoe on how to lay this plan out. The second thing I want to say is that when we did have this conversation, we included downtown as well, because Alderman Donnellan just hit it on the head. We're going through a lot of struggles. We also have the most black representation downtown that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. We have more small businesses wanting to come to downtown, but they need some help. And help me out with, what's the program that shows you how many people come downtown? You can kind of see it from the phone. I had a, what is it called, Mayor?
Placer AI.
Placer AI, yeah, the database that we use.
So that's one of the updates that I want to see you talk about, other than just when you come before us for funding, because I think that would help when Frito-Lay came forward and you guys were talking about where businesses can go, or if we just ask for one small box store to come downtown. And the concerns I get is that it's not enough foot traffic for downtown. Half of the east side is driving through downtown to get out west to go buy something. So you can't tell me that we don't see the numbers. It just feels like, and Ralph, I know how you feel, so don't get your antennas up. When we say the west side, it's not a west side versus east side, but people from this side of town and my ward is driving to go, I drive to go out west and go shopping. We need to see some of that come back to the inner city, and I'm not understanding why that's not working. I've been sitting up here for 4 years. I come and just sit with you and Abby, and I ask, y'all walk me through this. How does this work? How do we see how this generates on the cell phone? But I'm not the expert to really go back out and explain, and I know I need to do a better job because people see the work that I'm doing behind the scenes, and I don't always talk about it. This is one of the things that's really starting to frustrate me about our downtown. Our downtown is for everyone to come to, and I'm not seeing any growth in that area. I'm seeing more that I go and support out on the other side of town, and the east side is just, I get where Sean is coming from. So that's why we are supporting him with doing this amendment, and I really hope that you come back to us 2 or 3 times before your budget is up again to tell us how projects are going and where you're at.
I will be back. I'm working with the council coordinator on dates.
Thank
Hopefully-
you.
Hopefully, I used the wrong email address, but luckily you saw it, so.
Yes, I did.
I'm doing that. And once again, I'm not saying my board's against any of this. I want to be clear. I hope you're not getting the impression I'm saying we're against it. I just haven't seen any of the language. Hopefully tonight I'll leave with a copy of it, if that's possible, because I've not seen it, so that would be helpful.
You will. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Alderman Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for coming. I appreciate your comments. I've heard a lot of it before. You know, my frustration comes from watching how things develop in Springfield and our county, for that matter. I'm not shocked that you couldn't find the East Side plan, whichever 3 of them. I don't know which one
I
you
did
found.
find it finally,
You
so,
found-
yeah. Yep.
Because Molly Burns came here, and she presented the Route 66 plan and all, and I asked her, while she was standing right where you at, about the East Side plan, and she didn't have an answer. She said, I didn't know. One's dated 2001, one's dated 2010. I mean, so you got to understand my frustration coming in as an alderman and looking at something like South Grand Avenue East and looking at it today, and it's worse. It's more empty lots. So I don't think the problem is space or whatever, or anything like that. I think it's about when it's in front of somebody's mind to be serious about doing some form of development over there. I asked at my neighborhood associations, you know, they'll say, well, Alderman, the last big thing that got built on the east side was Pepsi, you know, Pepsi Cola Company. And then when I do my research, that really wasn't a build, that was a move. I mean, they built it because they were moving from what now is the food bank. That used to be the old Pepsi. So as I talk to my people about this, and we talk about South Grand, where Burger King now is probably on its 5th year not being open, and all that parking lot and all that building, and then I have lots in between the gas station and AutoZone and the gas station and the car wash or car lot, whatever it is now. My whole point is, when does somebody take a look at South Grand? All those empty lots. I know about Pastor Silas's new church, where it's going to go, but it's still tons of land. But all we can talk about is Route 66, some of downtown. They have a plan, the downtown plan, the medical district plan. No one talks about the East Side plan. That's why I brought it up a few weeks ago. So I am frustrated, and I thank my colleagues for being mad finally, I guess. So I do have some questions I want to ask you. So when was the last project that you would say Same Growth Alliance was involved with? On the east side.
On the east side, the Home 2 Suites by Hilton on Dirksen Parkway, that's in your ward.
Yes. So
That hotel developer was looking to develop a hotel in Springfield, and I pushed him to the east side.
Yeah.
Because I did a project with him in Decatur. That's open and operating right now.
I just asked when was the last one,
Yeah.
and that's what I got. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Didn't use any really city incentives, though.
No, he tried to use
He tried,
enterprise zone,
and
but
we fumbled it,
we were,
correct? Okay.
we were reaching out to you and others, and
For the sake of time,
Yep.
we kind of already know the same. The developers, I keep hearing about, there's interested developers. At the Pillsbury meeting, I heard it. You just said it. I've heard the mayor say it on who are these developers?
I'm not at liberty to give any names.
See,
So-
that's the problem.
Yeah,
So why?
so.
Why?
Because
I need to contact them as the alderman to start talking about some of what you say ain't your responsibility as the city. So I'm trying to do it.
Yeah.
Tell me the name of the developer so I can engage them on how many women, how many people call. I mean, what are we doing here? Because this is why why it never improves, because you're not at liberty. Who's stopping you? Your board?
No, not my board. We typically sign non-disclosure agreements with developers that we're required to because of the private competitive reasons that we deal with. And many times these could be public or traded companies, so
At what
we have to
point,
keep
at
it
what
quiet.
point do we know the name of the developer that's interested? Corporate counsel, you, somebody? At
Yeah,
what point will
we-
we know that name? For Pillsbury, let's say for Pillsbury.
That would be a question for the Growth Alliance.
Yeah, as soon as they want to start thinking about building permits, if they utter any word about wanting any kind of city incentive, I tell them they need to reveal themselves to the city and the older person. I
Well, at
always
that
wrap the
point, they
older
would
person
have
in.
to, yeah.
So we would definitely wrap them into that. If they're just looking at a site and not sure they're going to do something, at that point where they start expressing interest in doing something, I connect them with the older people and the city staff and the mayor's office.
Okay,
It only stays confidential when they're first looking.
Do you work with our city planner?
Mm-hmm. Sean Pritchard? Yeah.
Okay, so what are y'all working on?
Pardon me?
What are you guys working on?
Right now, I talked to him a lot about the multiple plans I found for the east side that are listed on the Regional Planning Commission website. I'm also talking to him a lot about the downtown Mid-District Master Plan. We have a meeting coming up Wednesday. I know they're working on the implementation schedule for that. Sean also gets involved in other general economic development opportunities because he knows about some programs with the state. So he'll frequently call me to tell me about state programs and things like that.
Okay, because when we got a city planner, I was excited. And I thought, well, why are we giving the $250 to you when we can be giving it to somebody much closer to where we have much more control that would be much more local? This combined, I say this about everything, so don't take it personal, but this Sangamon County combination thing doesn't work for Springfield. This is why we have our issues, because we keep doing this in all these different areas. I can name them, all the different departments, but that's not saving money like you think it is. It may save money, but it hurts the citizens. And here we are again in one of these type of situations, because you have to spend time not just satisfying Springfield, but a region, I believe, right?
Well, I work all across the county.
Well, see, and that ain't what we need. That's why South Grand gets pushed to the back and gets pushed, because your time is consumed by the other things across the county. We need to give Pritchard maybe the $250,000, let him build a staff, another couple, and then focus on some of our problem issues in the city. And let the county be the county with their county board. And speaking of boards, you said it's 28 of you guys?
Yeah.
How many women?
How many women?
How many of them are women?
I would say,
My favorite questions.
I'm guessing on the women's side, probably, what would you say, Mayor? A dozen?
On the board
Yeah,
or more?
or more.
So you're saying it's at least 12 women. Okay, how many people of color?
Two, right now, two. We had 3 members of color, individuals of color, and like I said, one of those individuals delegated his board position to somebody else.
Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm gonna stop. I'll just say that, we went on the trip. I got excited about Pullmans. I mean, I did. I saw a factory about probably 3 times the size of Pillsbury, maybe even larger. And I saw what Chicago did with that. I saw not just the Walmart, the recreation center, and just tons of stuff they did with that. And I'm trying to get ahead so we do the right thing for the people. But right now, I'm dealing in so many ways. I'm dealing with what we're doing here. I got Pillsbury move forward, but nobody's from Pillsbury. They're all white people from the west or from the far south. Nobody that make up that group. I got the neighborhood association president, now I'm working with him, and he's a white guy, and that's fine. But I'm dealing with a neighborhood that's probably 50-50. I just want to make it more real and more tangible so that something does go on there right. And I can't even get you to tell me about a developer yet, I guess. So, yes, I'm frustrated. That's why I let these two do most of the talking. I do appreciate you. Like I said, you took me on a trip. I saw a real incubator. My eyes were wide open when I saw that. Also, I've been to an even bigger one in Market Square, whatever that is, that big building downtown. They have a huge incubator there, you know, on the 15th floor. Chicago Mart building or something. I can't remember the correct name of it. So I say all this to say it's time to get serious about the east side and not just housing. No, we can get housing, but not just housing. There's a need for housing all over, so we need to put it all over. But we need to put some retail, some development. Yes, I have Capital City. Yes, I have tons of stuff going on. They'll be on the edges, Stevenson Drive and Dirksen. But they won't turn down South Grand. They won't turn down Cook. They're barely coming down Clear Lake, but this is all Ward 3. And my job is to find out from guys like you what's really going on. You told me one time, well, we can't make the developers come, you know. So then I have to fight for incentives and make sure that they can use all the different incentives that may invite them to come. But the only reason why I will be in agreement of the subcommittee, because we need to make this thing smaller so it can get focused, because I think your group, it's too big for, and we're lost in it. You couldn't find the plan, that's my evidence.
I found
Malley
it.
couldn't find it, you found it.
I found it after, I mean, I'd called you and I'd called other people,
Yes.
asking where it was. I gave up and did it
But in this kind
myself.
of position, sir, you should have knew about it.
I-
You should have knew that it existed. Not, I don't care which version of it, you really should have known that there's an East Side plan, and it was a beautiful plan.
Yeah.
It has a lot of good stuff, but it never gets touched. It's just on a piece of paper. This is why I'm telling him now, don't get your hopes up. Even if you get it in and get it in writing, like he said, don't really mean nothing unless you stay on top of things. So I'll end it by saying, I know these are not the best kind of conversations, but we need to get serious about development and include the east side and downtown as well. Thank you.
Alderwoman Conley?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ryan, for coming in. Alderman Gregory, I just want to say, I hadn't seen your amendment before we started talking about it either. But what you've gotten here is really asking for an emphasis on education and training. The kinds of things, Ryan, that I know that you talked about, that you highlight that the Growth Alliance does, working with Innovation Center. I understand Alderman Gregory's frustration, and I think I've been pretty consistent in saying, I know I represent Ward 8, right? It's more of a West Side ward. This city doesn't improve while we have portions of the city that feel this left behind, where we're seeing an unequal distribution in development activities, in new industry. And Alderman Gregory, I respect very much that you put this forward. You've talked about concepts like this for a long time. I wasn't sure when I started reading it what was going on, and Ryan, I do hope that when you take this to your board, what they see is a genuine interest and desire and a need for this community to have equal development and pull up the parts of our community that are suffering. I mean, we see that on a regular basis, and this is a big step. It is a contract that we have with you, and I would say I would have wanted to know that you and your board had seen it ahead of time, but I also don't think, given the summary of what you do, what the intents of the Growth Alliance is, I don't think that that's out of alignment with what Alderman Gregory is asking for. And I think in the end, having a stronger east side, having a stronger north end, and a reinvigorated downtown makes my ward better. It makes our city better, and I think that that's really the intent of what's going on here. So, Alderman Gregory, I just want to say I do intend to support your amendment, so thank you.
Appreciate you, thank you.
Alderman Hanauer?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. confused by the point that we put language in our PLAs that were pretty strict about, who has to, what percentages of people that have to be on jobs and things like that. Are we not tracking that, or how? I guess lost it, but,
That's Mike.
I guess the question I'm throwing out is, are we tracking that, and where are we?
I can answer that. We are
Okay.
tracking it. The only contract prior to my administration that had minority participation in the contract was Poplar Place. All the other contracts that we would show not minority participation were prior to this administration. Since then, we have been pushing it very hard, and Mr. Lesko can talk to that if you would like. That's where Alderman Gregory got his reports, because Mr. Lesko does keep track of that.
All right,
Yes.
and so, I guess, real quick, if you don't mind, Ryan, Mike, where are we, do we need to enforce it harder, or where are we at on that?
Well, that's probably a decision for this body and not us. I mean, we track through our ePrism labor, it's our labor management software, it tracks prevailing wage, it tracks labor participation we track everything through our ePrism labor participation software. It tracks prevailing wage as well as the makeup of the people on the job for city contracted jobs or projects. So vendors report that on a monthly basis. We compile it through the ePrism software, and then I run reports to look at it. So.
Or are we holding, the current contracts that are out there, are we holding them accountable?
So they are contracts that were signed prior to that requirement, correct?
Okay.
So actually,
think
we
one
had
of
a
the-
meeting about bringing an ordinance forward that Katia McMasters is working on right now for me.
Okay.
Alderman Carlson, I think, is very aware of it as well. I talked to him about it, about requiring city, like not projects for OPED, but like our work that our
Right.
city does will have a requirement, because that's not in code right now for minority participation.
I thought we had it in our PLAs. I thought that's one of the first
Yeah,
things we
Katia
did.
can address it for you.
Yeah.
So currently, our code, it's annual goals, right? So it is a goal. So if a goal is not met in our code, there is currently no enforcement mechanism, because it is a goal, not a requirement. It is something, as Mike alluded to, that we have a working group that reviews those numbers and monitors those numbers, but there's no proverbial stick, right, if they don't meet those goals. So that is something that our committee is reviewing, and as Mayor alluded to, something that I'm working on, and hopefully we'll.
So we'll bring an
it here.
ordinance forward too that will require it, not just
Right.
recommend it.
And I'd appreciate that, because I think that when we did a Poplar Place, did that not work out pretty well? I mean, with the language that we put in.
It improved. It improved. However, we still have the local issue. The people of color, not all of them were Springfield residents.
Right.
Or, so in what Katia is saying, also should be tracking residency. Where are these people from? And this is why me and the unions go around sometime, because I ask these questions. They still be Springfield guys.
Right, we do track residency as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, but we don't meet our goals in anything, really.
So if I can with
But
that.
it was improvement on Popular Place, Alderman.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to let Katia finish her statement.
So what you were referring to, Alderman Williams, with respect to the local labor, what we are envisioning for the FBE, MBE requirement, that is a goal. The local participation is a requirement. So the ordinance we're envisioning will track more in line with the local participation, where there is a strict and hefty penalty provision. And we are also tracking that in our committee, to where if we need to ramp up enforcement of the local labor, that we're keeping an eye on that and doing that as well. I do want to clarify that there are two different things that I think are being discussed here that we need to kind of separate. The FBE, MBE goals are on public contracts, but there are also, we're talking about PLA requirements. These are two different things. And so with the FB&B goals on the public projects is what I was referring to previously, Alderman, that they're goals. If there are actual percentages that are required in a PLA, that is separate. And the PLA is sometimes, but not always, with the city. It depends on the scope of the project. And, you know, for example, an OPED project would be between a developer and, you know, a different entity, whereas a public works contract directly involves the city. So one PLA on the public works contract, we have, because it's with us, we have the ability to enforce. But if it's just a pass-through like an OPED where the city is not directly part of the PLA, we cannot enforce that. That PLA would have to be enforced through contract provisions between those two entities. Does that help clarify things?
Well, for me, you know, Popular had Related. Related was the owners, you know. And then I guess that was a situation like is that a good example or not?
It is, you're correct.
It is. And so in that, we, Alderman Hanauer, we were able to get some improvements with it. My fight the whole time I've been up here is PLA doesn't guarantee that fairness, and she's left the room, but I think in her mind, if I get a PLA, oh, I got my woman taken care of, that's not really true.
Right.
A PLA does, you know, take care of the prevailing wage and some of these other issues, but the tracking, maybe it didn't happen in the old administration. I'm yet to see in the report on how well we're doing, but the enforcement piece is missing, period.
Yeah.
We can even track, but if we ain't enforcing, nothing changes for the community.
So
There's gotta be
Alderman,
some
I would like
enforcement.
to speak for myself.
Sure.
You are singing my song. When I
Okay.
came into office, we were not tracking any contracts, whether they were external or internal. So I created a committee to track the contracts made up of legal, public works, purchasing, and we are tracking them. And then we have found that there is a deficiency because it does not require minority participation, it recommends. So I said, work on an ordinance and get me one, and we're bringing it forward. We're going to require it on our public works projects. So there are deficiencies, but we are going to fix them, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I
Alderman
guess-
Hanauer, I'm sorry. You're
No,
probably
that's
not
all right.
done.
And then I guess my other question would be, okay, so right now, we're talking about extending a contract that we already have, and our annual cost is $250,000. But the amendment will be $200,000. Is that something that we can do, or do we need to look at maybe going to 250 and then putting 50 extra, so it doesn't invalidate this contract? I guess that's for you, Corporation Counsel.
So what we're doing now, what this addendum does is it agrees to extend the contract for an additional year at $250,000, which is what we have traditionally done. This is the seventh extension that we're doing. What amendment number 1 proposes to do is that same extension with $250,000, but then in addition, create and specify in the contract and amend the contract to create a new working council that's described in the amendment. So if this is approved here, what we'll do is we'll amend the contract, we'll send it over to the Growth Alliance and ask them to approve it on those terms. The money would not change, the $250,000, with the exception that $50,000 would need to be set aside for the working council. Now, once we send it over, the Growth Alliance will have to vote on it, and if they refuse to accept it, then we would not have a contract with them, meaning we wouldn't be obligated to pay the $250,000, but they would not be obligated to create the working group, and then the council, they might come back with a counteroffer, or we would have to decide what the relationship between the parties would be at that time.
Now, that's some action right there.
I just wasn't sure whether it'd be better to go with the contract and then follow up with the $50,000 and ask them and, push for the subcommittee. Because I feel like we're changing the contract, and they obviously didn't know about the change. I'd rather them tell us whether it was something they would agree to or not. And obviously Ryan can't do that here.
Any other comments, Alderman Hanover?
No, thank you.
Okay, Alderman Williams?
Yeah, well, they're using our money. They're the board for them, but it's our money. It's the city and the citizens' money. So if we're telling them, we don't have to be in a position that they tell us or they got to approve us. We approve it, he presents it to them. What are they going to do? Say, then we don't want none of it? I think we're looking at this backwards. This is city. This is who they're coming to asking us. Same way when we do ASNICS. He's getting the contract. He's coming for us. We got to put things in perspective and keep them the way they're supposed to be. So all we're doing is saying what we want and telling him that's how we approve it. He takes it back to his board. If they send the money back, we'll use it somewhere else. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Alderman Gregory?
Oh, no, I'm done.
Alderman Rockford?
I'll follow up later.
So Ryan, I think, and I'm speaking for myself, but when you, we give you this money, we expect your group of people to go out and equally go to each part of the town and say, hey, listen, we need to do something on the east side of town. Where can we go? The developer comes in, a business comes in, hey, we got some spots on the east side of town, the north end of town. And that's, whether we give you an extra 50,000 or whatever, that's your job, your group, to go out there and explore this. You're hearing from the east side of town, the north side of town. I hear my kids talking and people talking. They just opened up another chicken shack on Wabash Avenue. There's 3 of them with, crammed in. Do we not go to other parts of town and say, hey, listen, there's 10 gallon of and a 5-gallon bucket out there. How about we move it to the north end or the east side?
I'm shocked at the demand for chicken fingers.
Well,
just for the record.
I don't understand it, but it goes out there.
I don't either.
And yet it's nothing but a cluster when you go there. And we'd like to have some of that stuff on the east end of town or the north end of town, or how about downtown? Yeah. To revitalize. So I guess the whole frustration is it just keeps going and going. And again, I feel them. I hear what they're saying. It's got to be moved. And that's whether it's $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever. It's your group that we're giving the money to, and expect a little bit better performance.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I have not been involved in recruiting any chicken finger places because they don't need any help. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. The plans that exist right now for the east side, I've read them since I've been able to find where they were. Yeah. They're good plans. I look forward to working through them with the older people that represent those areas. I believe we can bring some things to do with those, and we should work through them. We do need to update some of them. And I think Roy and Sean, I sent an email, I said, what worries me, the only thing that worries me is that these were done like in 2010. What? And so one of the most important things in economic development is talking to the community and find out for them what does success look like, right? I ask people that because I don't want to go out and do something the community doesn't want. So 15 years ago, a lot's changed, 15 years, different people probably live there. So we need to go back to them and find out what are their goals for those areas. And then we work right alongside. There's things the city can do, things the Growth Alliance can do. Once I have that plan, I can go to developers and say, look, the community, the older people have said, we want you here. We want you here, and what can we do to get you to come here? I agree completely. I'll work through them. I do, and I know all I can do is say I do it and hope that you believe me. I believe I'm an honest person, almost to a fault. I push the east side and north side of Springfield consistently. I am pushing it. I am pushing investors there. I will keep pushing investors there. Every incentive program that exists in this city for business development exists in those areas. You guys have put together the tools. You have the TIFs, all those things. I'm going to push them. I'm going to keep pushing them. And I agree. We need development in that part of the community. I don't disagree one bit. It's changed, and I will keep pushing it. I do. I agree. I understand what you're saying. We do need to have the proper representation on developments. I'm excited to hear what the city's doing to add that into those contracts. If you want to know from the economic development perspective, I 100% support that. 100%. That, when I talk to developers, I tell them, you're going to get the best response from our community if our people build your stuff. I'm very, very clear about that. That if our community is going to lay themselves out for something, you've got to have our folks building it. And so I support that 100% and completely. And once again, whatever this body does tonight, I will take back to my board. I don't want to ever give you the impression it's yes or no. I just, I don't know. And I know, Sean, you probably understand that now. I'm not saying anything about that. I just have to take it back to them. I just don't have the authority, okay? It's just kind of how it's all set up, so.
Alderman
Yep.
Hanauer,
No,
you're done. Alderman
I thought I
Rockford,
had it shut off.
you're done also. Alderman
Oh,
Donlin.
thank you, Alderman.
Shut it down.
All right, and I apologize. I usually don't go twice, so I apologize, but.
Oh, come on.
Apology accepted.
But I do appreciate the discussion. I share your frustration. I think it's inexcusable that, and it's not your fault. You haven't been there that long. But the plan, what plan? What are we talking about?
I didn't know there were these things.
That's ridiculous. And I know that won't happen again because I know how you are.
No, like I said,
Let
we
me-
found it. I mean, I've been calling people. Yeah.
I have two questions, one for you, one for the sponsors. What would, let's just say we're taking 25, did I say it right, 25,000?
50.
50, I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. 50,000, and basically saying how you have to use it. What does that do to your operating budget? I mean, does it have an impact? I don't know your total budget. Is it-
Well, I mean, every change to a budget has an impact.
Understand that, Ryan.
Once I get into the details of the amendment, I'll be able to answer that. It sounds like the amendment wants me to do some real specific targeted work in certain wards of the city.
Well, the way I read it is, I'm going to read it. It creates the Minority Business and Community Advancement Working Council, which is it sounds like what you and Alderman Gregory discussed, something of that nature,
Yeah.
which I wholeheartedly support. Can I ask the sponsor something? Is there a willingness to let him go to his board and us vote on it at the next meeting? Yes or no? I mean,
I want to.
you were pretty clear earlier.
I want to push it and get it done.
I'm sorry?
I said I would like to vote on it tonight and get it done.
You want to vote on it?
and let
Can
the
I give an
people do
opinion,
the thing.
Alderman?
Yeah.
Reading this, because I am a board member, because of the city's contribution, it actually states in here that you have to hire a part-time person. So I would say that if we're dictating to an outside entity that they have to hire people, they need the opportunity to see this before we vote on it. I think it
don't
would be
have-
very unfair to vote on it without
They
them
don't.
seeing
They
it.
don't have to, but it can be used.
That's what
for
the
that.
wording is.
Well,
Says
says
including a
maybe.
part-time
May.
support.
It says
These
may.
funds, okay.
May and shall, two different things in this realm.
I believe that their board deserves from us the ability to see this, that we could hold it and vote on it at another council meeting personally, but go ahead,
Yeah,
Alderman Donlin.
I'm indifferent, whatever, I will deliver back whatever the council decides to do. So I
So,
don't want to try to.
Mayor, if I can, I'm not
Yes,
done.
Alderman Donlin,
I'm
go
not done
ahead.
yet. I don't like, and this isn't a shot at anybody, I'm sure I've done it before in the past, but ideally, we would all have an opportunity to look at an amendment, ahead of time. That's not always the case. That's just not how it is all the time. I know Alderwoman Purchase is waving at me. Do you?
Yes,
If I
so,
can, Mayor, I don't mean to.
Absolutely.
so Alderman Donlin, I understand what you're saying, and I am fine with what you and the mayor asked, and I asked that we hold the actual ordinance. So
Agreed.
now it's just transparent, so they can take this back, and we hold the ordinance to approve the 250,000 tonight too.
That's what I was suggesting.
Okay.
Correct, agreed.
So
Okay.
you're fine with that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so we
Sean,
would,
we
we
can
would
do-
vote on the amendment, and the ordinance would be held, and give him an opportunity to come back to us.
Yes.
Is that,
Sean?
I wasn't gonna have us vote on anything, just put it
or do we want to
back
not
in
vote on the
committee.
amendment?
Right now, we are just in discussion, so we're not doing anything because we're still in
No,
discussion.
I
of-
understand, but I'm just trying to
but-
get a feel for what the sponsors
temperature
want to
is.
do.
Alderman Gregory, can I ask you a question? I was suggesting that we put all of it back in committee and let him take the amendment to his board, and you might possibly want to be there. I don't know. That could be an invitation for you to attend, so that they could look at the amendment.
You know, and I know there's other older people signed up, but, what frustrates me is I'm not taking nothing from the Sangamon County Growth Alliance. it's not all about the east side or Ward 2. I really put some thought in it about other areas. And we're just asking to take $50,000 and take somebody from your board and say, hey, guys, we gotta focus on these areas here and try to help these people along. That's it, and that's all. And we have spent, 45 minutes? 45 minutes talking about this. This is ridiculous. This is terrible. 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 We always go through this anytime it's got something to do with a smidget of funding, and we have to stop this. This is ridiculous. You see how fast everything else went through? 10-0, 10-0, 10-0. I knew as soon as we got to this joint here, it was going to be almost an hour discussion about $50,000. This is ridiculous. So I say we vote on this. If they don't want it, they'll send it back to us, and we can do something else. And that's it.
Alderman Donlin, I'll come back to you, but Alderman, with all due respect, I didn't even see this till I sat down tonight.
I know, because that's, Mayor, I must be honest with you. This is just how I operate. Because, you know, when I start hearing my alder people talk, I hear context clues. I know y'all been talking as soon as you seen it. I know, I can tell from his demeanor. And I also know there's people on that board that didn't support Cap 1908. Was really trying to get the man to rescind his letter, but he wouldn't. That's why I know you're a stand-up guy. So I'm not here to play these games. We're gonna vote on it and be done with it. If it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, but I'm gonna keep coming, trying to lift our community. We are behind. It's getting worse and worse. I mean,
Alderman Donlin, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I do.
Sure, go ahead.
Where I was going with this, and Alderman Gregory, I do appreciate the long discussion. I mean, and I know you do too. But I hear what you're saying. What I was going to suggest as a compromise is I was going to see if we could amend the amendment to increase the amount, $50,000, so that it would have no impact on their existing operations and would accomplish what you are trying to accomplish, because it's, again, what plan, where'd this come from? It's ridiculous. And I don't think it's asking, but I feel your inability to, Ryan, to you know, bless something because you haven't talked to your board about it. And I'm not gonna propose that right now because we have agreed that, I guess informally, that we're gonna hold the ordinance, but I wanna keep that in the wing, all right? And I probably shouldn't have played that card with your board because they're probably gonna want the extra money, but I think it's important just to have full disclosure here that.
You're just one of 10, so I can't hold anybody to that, so.
Anyway, Mayor, that's all I have.
Yes, sir. Alderwoman Purchase.
I think I tried to make sure we all was on the transparency playing field, but it's me, Alderman Williams, and Alderman Gregory that's sponsors of this, so I want to be respectful of our group that brought this forward, and if that's what Sean wants to do, I want to move forward with bringing it forward, and I hope, Alderman Donilon, you can support it as well.
Anything else, Alderwoman?
No, thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say thank you to the three of you for your work on this. I can see you put a lot of thought into it, and it's something that we all support and want to see done. I think that we should go ahead and vote on this tonight because we're just going to send this over to the board, and they have the ability to make whatever decision they would like. If they tell us $250 less the $50,000 directed isn't enough, then we can talk about doing more. But ideally, I think keeping it at total $250 and then just breaking out a piece of it should be our first offer, right, if we're negotiating. So I think this is a good idea. There's nothing objectionable in it. And like I said, we're not going to have an agreement if they don't agree to it. So we will lose absolutely nothing by voting in favor of this as amended tonight. And I would just like to encourage my colleagues to go ahead and support it tonight. Thank you.
Alderman Williams.
Yeah, I'll just say, he's not gonna get fired if he takes it back and it's passed by us. They'll have their discussion and they may send them back to us, but trust me, they're not firing them. I think we should just call the vote. Thank you.
So right now, we only have, just to be clear, we only have a motion and a second to put it on the final passage. Alderman Gregory, your amendment has not been proposed as of.
Mayor, I motion to add amendment number 1.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to add amendment number 1. Thank you, Alderman. I just wanted to make sure we followed our rules.
I
so-
appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. So now any discussion on the amendment, first of all? Alderwoman Notriano, you're signed up to speak.
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
need anything?
I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay, so any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, will we be able, Joanna, to vote on the amendment? Okay. So then the voting will now be open on the amendment. If you vote yes, you're just voting for the amendment. This is to amend the ordinance. If you vote no, you are voting to not amend the ordinance. You can voice vote if it's not working, Alderman. So the amendment passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. So Alderman Gregory, we now have a motion and a second for the amended ordinance. Do you or any of your colleagues with the amendment or any other colleagues have discussion on the ordinance itself?
As amended.
As amended, yes. Okay. Mr. McCready, do you have anything you want to ask?
I
Alderman Hanauer?
Are we planning on holding it and sending it back now that's
I think
amended?
we're voting. Would that be?
We're voting?
Because the motion, there was a motion and a second to vote on it, yes.
So the motion
it
on
on
the
final
floor
passage.
is for approval as amended.
As amended on final passage.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Mr. McCready, do you have anything to add?
I would just hope, who can send me a copy of the amendment?
It's passed, so I'll give you a
Thank you,
copy
because
as soon
I
as
haven't seen it.
You
So
can have
that
mine.
would be helpful to have, so I can take it back to my board.
And Mayor, this
so.
is contingent on same kind of Growth Alliance and their board of
Absolutely,
directors.
yeah. Any other discussion? Alderman Cox, sorry.
Yeah, just make sure that your folks know if they have a problem with it, that, you know, we're not cutting ties here. We're willing to work with everybody. I just don't want this to blow up into something that's completely unnecessary, you know, as far as a relationship between the city and the alliance, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
don't
just
have-
make sure that they know that, you know, this is,
I don't have any
it
feeling
could work,
that-
it could
yeah.
go both ways. I mean, this thing, they may say 50 grand is not enough to do what you want us to do. So, I just want to make sure that you understand that and that you pass that along, right?
I don't have any feeling that the city of Springfield's not supportive of the Growth Alliance.
Thank you. I just want to make that
Nor
clear.
have I mean, I've talked to everybody here. Sean and I probably spent more time on the phone than a lot of folks over the years. So, no, I don't have any impression that there's a problem there. It's just the money you're giving us, you want to see it used a certain way.
Sure. Well, and I don't know the
And
other
so-
28 people that you have to work with, you know, so I just want to make sure that you,
Yeah.
that's conveyed appropriately. I trust you and I know
Yeah.
you will, but.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, the good thing about what all you do is they can watch the meeting if they want and find out for
Exactly
sure
right.
what,
Fair
what went on. So, no, I'm Alderman Cox, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't feel like that, so, yep.
Any other discussion from the alders? Okay, seeing none, are we okay to vote? Joanna, live?
All set?
Okay, we're all set. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
Damn, this thing, very nice.
Stuck. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Thank you, Mr. McCready.
Thank you, and I know you spent a lot of time tonight, so I appreciate that. I know you're busy, so, thanks.
Thanks, Ryan.
The next item on the agenda is item number 2025-153, an ordinance approving an agreement between the City of Springfield and Ace Sign Company. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2025-153 on final passage. Do we get can I get a motion? We have a motion. Can I get a second? We have a motion and a second. So we'll move to discussion. Any discussion on this particular ordinance? Alderman Williams.
I have an amendment on the table. If I would ask corporate counsel to read the amendment, if he would, it's pretty short.
Absolutely. So amendment number 1 to agenda item 2025-153 would specify that the agreement with a sign company would limit the space on the bus benches to commercial advertising and public service announcements that do not express or advocate opinions or positions on political, religious, or moral issues.
So Alderman Williams has a motion for amendment number 1. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a second. So now we're in discussion on the amendment that Corporation Counsel just read into the record. So any alders have questions on the amendment? Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not a question, it's more of a statement. I spoke with Ace Sign, their team earlier today. While this is not the ideal, amendment that they want to go forward, but they understood that if this amendment didn't pass, that Alderman Gregory had an amendment to bring forward that would allow for other signs to be next to those bus benches. So whether we do that, they would prefer that this would go through, but I just wanted to be clear that they weren't okay with it, but they would settle for the amendment that Alderman Williams is bringing forward.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Carlson.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. You know, this issue, it's a bigger issue in the fact that I don't know why we feel we need to get into private business on where and how, Ace Sign Company does their advertising or sells their advertising. I mean, this is a company that I think this company's been in town for over 80 years. And, for us to think we know what's best for small business, I think, it's just not right. I mean, I think we all know why we're here. I mean, the elephant in the room, we had somebody who purchased a number of bus signs last year. I heard last week, and we're probably going to hear tonight, in the interest of fairness. Well, it's not fairness. This is all about politics, and the fact that some people weren't able to get a bus bench sign. I'm just concerned about the path we're heading down. I mean, as we know, Ace only has so many bus benches out there. They own just that small piece of property. They don't own the entire right-of-way. How about if my dentist comes to me and says, "Hey, Carlson, I can't get a bus bench sign. What are you going to do for me?" How about attorneys? I mean, they all advertise on these bus bench signs. I just don't think we should be in the business of dictating and overseeing what private business does in Springfield. I mean, this is why we hear from developers, builders, it's tough to do business in Springfield because we micromanage these businesses and on stuff that, really we shouldn't be in the business of doing. They advertise, they sell bus benches, we should just get out of the way and let them do their job. And so we can focus on we had a good discussion the last couple hours. We can focus on really city business and trying to move Springfield forward. This doesn't do anything for the residents of Springfield, micromanaging what is on bus benches or not. So, thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So they still can advertise. Your doctor, your dentist, or whatever example you gave still can. It's political that can't. And you're right. You're saying we know what this is. It's political. It is. We're stopping it. So I'm glad you think like me that it's political. We have to stop it. We have to clean it up, and this is cleaning it up by saying we're not allowing it on the public people's way, the right-of-way. That's why. So Ace don't have to be there. They can put their benches wherever they want to put them. But the fact that they put them on the right-of-way is why we're involved saying, yeah, but don't. And many, many cities do this. This is not unique to Springfield. There's many states and around the states that does it a little different, but they do their version of it. So Ace can keep operating for another 80 years. They'll do fine. They can do some PSAs, public service announcements. They can do all the doctors, dentists, and everybody else they got. My problem was it was political, and it was based on a first come, first serve, but then when you check, we're booked out. So it's first come, first serve, it just doesn't exist. So that's my amendment. I hope you guys support it because it doesn't take anything away from a sign. You just heard all the women say they'll live with it. and things will be better when the season kicks in. We don't have to worry about it. Because that second thing that Gregory wants to propose, if this fails, is just too much. I talked to corporate, it would be too much on the city, the policing of it alone. Because now I'm picking up, we'll be talking about telephone poles, billboards, you name it. So I'm specific with the bus benches and saying no signs are going to be on there dealing with those 3 areas. That's in the amendment, and I appreciate your support.
Any other discussion from the alders? So this vote would be on just the amendment, first of all, that Alderman Williams brought forward. Are we okay to vote on our machines, or do we need to do a roll call? Okay?
Yes.
So if you are voting yes, you're in favor of the amendment, and a no would be not in favor of the amendment.
Oh, it's not working.
Trying. Hold on. There.
Am I missing someone?
Roy.
Oh,
I can't see a vote.
Not working well.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was sticking
So
today.
it's tied, so Alderman Williams, I'm going to support your amendment.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
You're
Mayor.
welcome, Alderman. So the agenda item is on the consent, being moved forward to be approved as amended, 2025-153. Any discussion from the alders on that? Seeing none, the voting will now be open to vote on the ordinance. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no. We now need to move to our emergency passage items. The first item on emergency passage will be item 2025-168, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by 1 for Tequila El Palo Corporation, DBA Tequila El Palo, located at 635 West Jefferson Street. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion for passage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for passage. Alderman Gregory, you have signed up to speak?
Yes, I would just to bring some clarification, the gentleman who owns this restaurant, he has some issues with the application that fell along language barriers. So it is in now, he's got it all fixed, but it would be approved literally a day or two after Cinco de Mayo, which is his biggest holiday.
Big
So
business.
I thought we should bring it forward, so that's
Understood,
all.
sir. Any other discussion from any council members on this item for emergency passage?
Oh, I thought he was going to make the holiday. I'm sorry.
If we get it, we're gonna make
Okay,
it.
all right.
Do you have any questions, Alderman Hanauer? Are you good? Everybody's good? Then voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
It'd be like that sometimes,
Sticks.
And the motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is for emergency passage, item number 2025-180, an ordinance to increase the number of Class D liquor licenses by 1 for Timothy Lewis, DBA The Rail Yard, located at 2242 South 6th Street. Can I get a motion, please?
To put it on
Approve.
final passage?
Okay, motion for
Second.
final, and a second for final passage. Any discussion from the alders on that item?
The same thing, Cinco de Mayo, or? Is it?
Alderwoman?
So essentially, they want to open the first weekend in May, and because this month works out the way it does with us taking off next week, they essentially like lose out a chance to get it on normal passage. Thanks.
Okay. Any other discussion? Alderwoman Conley?
Yeah, I was just wondering, and I appreciate Alderman Gregory bringing the other ordinance forward. Council Coordinator Griffin explained there was some significant language issues with that prior one. Why is this one being brought forward so late? I'm assuming these are not non-English speaking owners.
No, so this was, it was supposed to be on first reading tonight, and that would have given them, if we had committee of the whole next week, and then if we had our regular meeting the following week, they would have been able to have this passed by the first weekend in May.
I guess, my understanding is that the other business had significant issues with the application process, with language barriers being an obstacle. So that's why I don't have a problem with that one. I don't understand why this one.
I mean, we
I don't
talked about
understand-
it last
no,
week.
No, we didn't.
so
Actually, last week you just said that you were bringing something forward, and I didn't hear from you once
This
in a
was
week.
sitting in front of everyone
Jennifer,
last week.
Alderwoman, I didn't hear from anyone about this issue. In the week that went through.
Well, you can vote no if you'd like.
Okay, I'm just asking because there were specific circumstances around the other ordinance, and I was just asking you, since I didn't hear from anyone, and this is one that you're advocating for, what is the specific circumstances around this situation that makes it different, that they can't, I mean, the other businesses can open, right? There's only one that serves liquor, is that correct?
The owners of this property have asked me that they would like to have their liquor license by the first weekend in May. This was set to be on first read today, and in the interest of granting them their wishes, I said that I would work with Corporation Counsel to bring this up to you all next week, so we could put it on emergency passage this week, so they could be open the first weekend in May.
That one portion of the restaurants. What I'm asking is, the question I'm asking that I wanted to hear from you is, what was the barrier to them not getting this brought forward earlier? I mean, they could have brought their application in.
I don't know
months ago.
when they applied for anything, or if this was delayed. I know that they submitted, or our office that actually puts things on the agenda submitted like maybe a day after the deadline for it to be on first read
2 weeks
last
ago?
time. Yeah, so it's not, there was no issues or problems. This is simply this business, I guess, asking for us to do them a favor and also take into consideration that this month is different. We're not meeting next week. And so they are losing out on an opportunity to have us pass this before the first weekend in May.
So the issue was that it wasn't filed, is that correct? I mean, I just need to, I'm just
have
trying
no
to
idea.
understand.
I don't believe that it was late or anything like that. I just think it
So
was a
No one
timing
spoke to me
thing.
about it either, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
it missed our first read deadline, but not by much. I think it was brought to my attention on April 1st, asking if it could be put on the agenda then, but our agenda was posted. That was a meeting date, so our agenda had already been posted, so
Right.
it couldn't go on then. I do believe that there was that there's a sale and a lease, so you'll see under first read, the current liquor license is actually, because the owner of the license is changing, you're gonna see we're going to decrease by that D.
Right.
So there's a change in ownership of the liquor license.
But there was a liquor license at this location previously?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that explanation.
Any other questions, Alderwoman?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Corporation Counsel, I have a question. Since there is an existing license, is it bad that there would be two for a temporary period of time on this property? Should we have also had an emergency passage to withdraw the old one?
So, under that, we should be able to still do it because they've indicated that the old licensee is no longer operating
Okay.
there. So we
Being the
can
liquor
have,
commissioner, I thought I'd ask.
we can.
I've never issued two licenses to the same entity, so I thought I'd ask.
So we'll have two, and then, as soon as that one they've relinquished their license, so then we'll decrease the total number of licenses
Okay.
given.
Just wanted to make sure we weren't going to get sideways. Any other discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no.
It's good, you good.
It registered, Alderman. So the motion passes with 9 voting yes, none voting no. Oh, I need to vote? So the motion passes with 10 voting yes, none voting 0. At this point, we will go to any unfinished business. So do any of the council members have any unfinished business to come before the council? Alderwoman Conley? No?
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
you were done. Okay. Alderman Williams?
New business?
Oh, sorry. Anyone else have, you're fine, just stay there. Anyone have old business? If not, we'll go to new. All right, new business, Alderman Williams.
I lost my place on my notes, so we're doing some kind of aerial photography.
I don't know if anyone is still here to speak to that.
Is he over there? My favorite,
It's not Scott.
is my favorite director.
It's not Dave either.
Oh, okay.
It's CWLP.
Well, he's my favorite too.
This was initiated by some folks at City Water, Light and Power, and the idea is to use ground penetrating radar to identify the location of not just current pipelines in public works, but a lot of the old stuff that's under the ground that we keep running into when we go subsurface. So old steam lines, old gas lines, things that have been abandoned that are in the way. This is an attempt to identify the locations of those old infrastructure. And that's all I really know about it.
Okay, so, yeah, so that's the purpose. And Mayor, why I'm bringing it up is
Yes, sir.
because when I was on the broadband committee, forgot what year, but anyway, don't we have fiber underground in downtown area?
The city has fiber throughout the city.
Fiber optics, yeah. So in that committee that I served on, I thought that was supposed to be like secretive where it's at and, you know, where it's located. And would this project that you're describing pick that up and get put on this new map?
Alderman, I can have Doug Brown or Tom Chief follow up with you and answer that for you.
Okay.
And we'll
Because it
send it
just-
through Corporation Counsel Griffin so everyone gets the answer.
Please, please, because I was always told that that fiber network or optics, whatever we have under there, you know, deals with the hospitals, some school, you know, a lot of different things that are people are connected, and that we don't want that to be public for sabotage and things of that nature. Then when I read the article about how we're going to do that and look at everything, I just want to make sure we.
I am not in a position to address it.
Okay,
It's called LiDAR.
okay. So we'll try to.
We'll get an answer to you,
Okay,
Alderman.
thank you.
Mr. Fuchs.
Absolutely. Any other new business? Alderwoman Purchase, I'm looking at you. Seeing none, we will go to citizens who have signed up in advance to address the council. The first person who has signed up to speak is Ken Pasha. It actually says Kenneth Pasha on my list. That's what it says. We'll have Joanna come get it from you, Mr. Pasha.
Look at those. I think the numbers are fairly important. Give you guys a little bit of context. That's SIU Medicine's Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. It's a study presented by Shripada Tripathi, MD, Associate Professor of Clinical Pediatrics. These numbers are pertinent to our city. I want you to take a really close look at those. I come up here every week. I hear a lot about how I'm rude, I'm abusive, I say vile things. I'm going to be real clear with everybody. I'm 43 years old, and I want you to take a real hard look at 03 in that zip code. There's a 20-year life expectancy difference between the people that grow up in my area and the areas most of you grew up in. So when you talk about what kind of person I am or the kind of person you think I am, I think you should be well aware of the circumstances that most of the people that live in that area escape to get to stand at this podium. It is extremely frustrating when you talk about development. We spend almost an hour arguing about $50K for a development plan for the east side. They've spent years neglecting that side of town. I've talked to you about our sidewalks, how the police use them to harass young black youth. Those numbers are stark, in-your-face numbers. Those are our incomes. Those are our life expectancies. You want to talk about lack of development, that's the real cost of systemic racism in a city that's spent decades neglecting our side of town. If you have any doubts about what that means, I strongly encourage you to come to Sean's ward and take a look at it. Take a real hard look at what happens when you cross 11th Street, when you head over to the north side, because those areas are starkly different. And I will tell you why. It's not because the residents there are high on drugs or can't get their stuff together or they don't care about their homes or their neighborhoods. It's because there has been a collective, systemic effort for decades by the city, the feds, and the state to treat neighborhoods like this and the residents of them in such a way that our lives are 20 years shorter than yours. So when you think I'm upset or you think I'm rude or I'm not nice enough, I want you to really think about what I'm upset about, because I am the exception to my neighborhood. The graduate degree I hold is the only one from the people I grew up with. The only one. I won't even list off the name of all the dead friends I have that died from overdoses, spent time in prison, and it's not because they're not smart or they're not good people or they didn't do good enough. It disgusts me that we have to have hour-long conversations about doing something for a side of town that is plain as day neglected. This isn't a debate. There isn't anything that you could offer me that would argue against my point that the people on that side of town and other areas of this town have been treated poorly, neglected, overlooked, and disprivileged in order to develop and privilege other areas of town for decades. So when you guys think, why is Ken so upset? Because I live in that neighborhood still. I moved elsewhere. I got a grad degree. I made good money, but I went back to where I'm from because I'll never forget what it took to get out of there and how hard I'll fight to help the people that still live there, that you guys spend an hour arguing about $30K over. You guys remember that debate? Better life, better living for kids? That was reimbursable money. And you guys spent an ungodly amount of time on it. And that's what happens every time black money comes up in this committee. And if you doubt me, go watch the tapes. I can. I see them. I'm here for them. And it's frustrating that only certain aldermen ever really get that upset, because it was, other than for an exception over here, pretty quiet. Because quite frankly, I don't think you guys have to care about that stuff like we do. I don't think it matters quite as much. And that's not about racism. I'm not calling you racist by referencing systemic racism. Redlining, Class B loans, overt police enforcement in particular areas, those are hard policies. Those are observable differences. These are not questions you should have to ask yourself if I mean it. These are people with more accreditation than anyone in this room right now, except for Dr. Lisa, of course. And I think that's the kind of thing which, when you look at that kind of stuff, this should really, really, really upset you, that this city is so systemically racist that we have entire areas that have a 20-year life expectancy difference. We're not talking about a whole nother world or another country or overseas. This is literally less than 8 blocks to the east here. So when you guys want to spend all this time and count every penny and dot every I and cross every T before we give any money to the east or north side, I'll tell you how it makes you look to everyone else out here and most of the city. Because we know the truth. All those shootings that keep happening on our side of town, where's the language about that? It's not even hot out yet. What do you think is going to happen when all these resources that are disappearing, Head Start, LIHEAP, and all those things, just, what do you think happens to these people that live in these neighborhoods?
Thank you, sir.
These numbers as an endless reality.
Thank you for your time, sir. The next person signed up to speak is James Johnson.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
I would really like to thank this horseshoe for showing some unity and voting together on an issue. This is one time in the many years that I came and sat in these meetings and seen it go the way it just did. So I'm going to thank you and applaud you for that. And I'm going to be nice tonight. I'm not even going to really bang the podium or cuss, Mayor. Please don't cuss. I'm not. But the late John Lewis would be proud of y'all. He would be proud.
Because sometimes we gotta fight the good fight, and sometimes we gotta get in some good trouble. And for y'all who know I've been around here, I preached on that. I spoke on that. And if we have to do that, we will do that. I don't want to, but the late Mr. Lewis said sometimes we got to do that. Now, I know on the paper it said I was going to talk about the police, and I am. And the retiring Mr. Ken Scarlet, I just want to tell him on this mic, thank you for all his work and for all his communication. And before I can come up here and talk about the police chief leaving, I get news that our fire chief is leaving. Now, I'm not really surprised, because if y'all go back 2 years ago, I said on the tapes, Larry, didn't I tell you, like, there was going to be a fire chief leaving within like 2-3 years? And we know why. And it's cool. I get it. I understand. You know. So now we got to start the whole process over again. We got to build a new relationship with another police chief. And we got to build another relationship with another fire chief. So we can keep getting minorities on our departments of the city. This is an endless cycle that we have went through. Now, can I just mention, I'm going to say his name and look at the mayor.
Alderman Gregory, are you okay if we allow
Alderman
Mr.
Gregory.
Johnson to address you?
I just want you to know that on 2 of those projects that you mentioned, one of them has at least a minimum of 7 blacks on it, just so you know. I'll make sure I'll keep you updated on that.
You know,
I will do that.
I like to come use these brown
Yes. Yes. So, to the fire chief, thank you for your 2 years of service. I was hard on you, but it was for a good reason. And under your leadership, we got our first black female. So, Mayor, all eyes on you on the 2 new people at in them seats. And I know we ain't gonna go outside of our departments because we don't do that. For us ones who've been around for years, we know how that went the last time we went outside. So for the new people around this horseshoe, y'all just be prepared that like every so many 3 to 4 years, we're going to have to replace the chief. This is just the cycle we're going to go through. And we start over on our relationship. And I hope the 2 that you picked, especially that police chief, is willing to build that relationship with the community, because you're going to really need that community for things to go smooth or things to go rough. And there's going to be a lot of people watching. So I like to think I shook his hand and said something to him already. But if not, make sure he gets my attention.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. The next person signed up to speak is Veronica Glass. Is Veronica Glass here? No? The next person signed up to speak is Roseanne Polito. She left, okay. The next person signed up to speak is Brianna Roberts.
First, I just want to say I rewound the live stream. It was actually 70 minutes that we spent discussing the inclusion and payment of black contractors. That's crazy. 70 minutes for $50,000 out of a budget of $2 million is insane. This is a pattern. We start talking about paying black people including them, and it's, whoa, hold on, where's this money gonna come from? Are we sure we want to take it from these white people? They were promised this extra $50,000. What if we increase the budget so they can still get that $50,000? But I do want to thank Sean for bringing it up and fighting for us and all of the older people that spoke in support. And I am grateful to see that there was an overwhelming support in the vote. So thank you for that. Anyways, I want to talk about last night's Massey Commission meeting. Ken already gave you guys the handout, and I'm going to be speaking about that as well. The data that we were told yesterday shows that Springfield is devastated. Financially, we're so segregated, and it's been like that since the creation of this town, and it hasn't gotten any better. Actually, it's gotten worse. There is a railroad that cuts the town in half. 11th Street, we all know this. It's called Reconciliation Avenue, and in my personal opinion, that's a really dumb name for that street. Zip codes such as 62703, my home where I've grown up, and 62702 were labeled as hazardous back during the redlining era, and those areas are still dealing with the consequences today. Those areas have a social vulnerability index below 0.75. That means they don't have access to care, they have unstable housing, limited or generational poverty, and their average income per person in that area code is $27,000 per person. But you cross the railroads, and it is upwards of over $50,000 per person. And I think that is worth mentioning and something that the city should look into. This is by design, and this is exactly why I'm talking about it. Because not only is this affecting the city, but we are seeing federal policies being introduced under the current presidential administration that are not only dangerous in theory, but they are extremely dangerous in practice. The SAVE Act, which recently passed in the House, will disproportionately impact working class and impoverished communities by adding new burdens to voter registration. Proof of citizenship requirements that millions of Americans, particularly Black, brown citizens in rural areas, and those who grew up in foster care, are going to find it's even harder for them to vote. When you pair this with looming threats of the Insurrection Act, which will be considerably put into effective order April 20th, we see that this is going to be giving unchecked power to military forces against civil unrest. And this isn't just a policy, this is precedent. And this is where history begins to echo louder. In 1933, Hitler passed the Enabling Act after a national emergency. It allowed him to bypass the parliament and rule by decree. And before he turned his full force towards the Jewish community, he targeted and tested his power towards Germany's poor and working class. He criminalized poverty, he imprisoned dissenters, and he used fear and security to strip away rights, slowly, legally, until no one could speak without consequences. And I bring that up because this is a looming future in America. Here in Springfield, we already had our community lacking of political power once before. In McNeil versus the City of Springfield, it was proven in federal court that at large, our voting system intentionally diluted the power of Black citizens. We can't let something like that happen again. I know that this is a federal level thing, but there are things we can do on a city level to protect our citizens in Springfield. This means working with Don Gray and making sure we have more access to early voter registration. This means educating the public and using your Facebook to get information out that's not just about city events. And lastly, I just want to mention, I'm speaking on behalf of my friend. She lives in Ward 6, and she is noticing a lot of glass, needles, knives, like in her area, in the sidewalk. And I just wanted to bring that up since she's not here to speak about it. It's dangerous for her kids. She doesn't know who to contact, so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person signed up to speak would be Robert Frazier.
Thank you, Mayor.
I just want to say thank you to Chief Scarlet and Fire Chief for their job. They've done a great job, great communicators. I wanted to speak and thank you again, Mayor, for supporting the CSA program through the first initiative was the reimbursable grant that we actually got one check in, and it is much appreciated. Thank you. With that being said, we have to do a lot more. And I appreciate OPED and everybody that has been listening and is trying to do something. Poverty, whatever you want to call it, impoverished, desolate, broke, indigent, is growing by the day. They say there's about 20,000 to 25,000 people that are living in Springfield that are below the poverty level. Maybe in the county, it's probably upwards of 30,000. These are only counted through, I don't know what means they are. Depends on what website you look at. But the problem is growing. We're doing our part to make people feel better about themselves through cleaning clothes and linen. But I want to thank the council about what happened tonight with Sangamon Growth Alliance. And I can close my book on this. You're speaking from the heart. What is going on to businesses in this county is horrendous, especially minority businesses. I can speak because I know of a person that runs one and basically runs one with no support, zero. This person has put their life on the line and continue to do it every day. And this is done through procurement processes, which the city in the past have done a horrible job. This person travels the state performing state contracts, which has directly supported the CSA program. And without that, it would have never happened. We have an industry in this community that I, in fact, asked Ryan McGrady about supporting, because without support and financial backing, there is no black-owned and operated businesses that can do anything as far as growing. We have to have the backing and the same backing as everybody else. There is an industry in this area that has large corporations. In fact, there's probably 3 of them that provides direct support to this city and to this county and to state, all different levels, to the tune of probably $100 million. And we just I know a person that just participates in that at a very small level. In fact, we travel the state and provide services for the state and some local businesses. But trust me, not sitting at the table to help with these decisions is very frustrating. And when you talk to people like the Sangamon Growth Alliance, they look down at you as to why would you think or even dare to think that you would be able to be on the level as some of these major corporations. And frankly, for me, I know I work 7 days a week and I work very hard and I know we can compete. And without this conversation that went on tonight, I'm not so sure why it has never taken place, but there's a lot more that needs to be done. And if you guys, any of you, want to know more, please include this person, bring them to the table, and they'll be more than happy to give you all the details about all of the fight that continues to go on every day of no inclusion. But the only way we win this fight is we learn how to play the game. And trust me, we've learned how to play the game, and support is what we need. Because we won't need any grant program if we continue to win contracts and do the work as a city, and we got plenty of place to build right around the corner. I asked about the rail, the 2 rail system out there by 72. They looked at me like, man, you must be crazy. But the business support is here. We have the ability to support from St. Louis to Chicago, from Indiana to Iowa, if we have the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Hewitt Douglas.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, it's good to see you.
You as well, sir.
I'm here about Lincoln Tower Apartments. It ain't no secret. I got so mad last week that I let it go. But I got mad late because Sunday, last week, elevator went down. Only got 2 running, but both of them went down. They came out and fixed them. Monday, both of them went down again. After I could call and get on the list. I called him here last week just so you'd see me. You know I'd see me this week too. Because this is ridiculous. Tuesday of that same week, both elevators went down again. My older person is getting tired of me, I'm sure. But God bless all of y'all, because something has to be done. Something has to be. It's a health hazard. The fire department came every day. Fire department shut it down, told them what they had to do, what they better do right quick, and they did it. Found out on that last Monday, and my name spelled wrong. Good God Almighty. The bottom line is, the fire chief told me, fire marshal, told me they hadn't paid the dang bill. All of a sudden, $14,000 just floated across from Champaign to Springfield. That's where the manager of this plague lives. Realistically, y'all, it's a health hazard. We got people in that building that are aged. We got people in that building with diabetes, heart problems, and if a problem ever comes up and that elevator is not working, it will be a death. Because you can't get the machine that they got to use on a person big as me to carry them down 16 flights of stairs. My wife said, why don't we move? I ain't moving nowhere. I like where I live. Above the tree line. Y'all don't have that privilege. You don't have that privilege. See, all y'all live down on the ground, nice and even, where the little rats and possums and all of that. I ain't got to worry about none of them. I don't even have to worry about birds a lot, because they ain't coming up there either. But I want to get down when I want to get down, and I want to get up when I want to get up. Y'all just walk straight into your house. I can't do that. I have to call ahead and say, hey, is the elevator working? Because if it ain't working, I ain't coming there. I'll wait a little lot longer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm begging. Mayor, I'm begging. It seems like there's not enough pressure. Corporate counsel and my other person came out, looked at the situation. I hope it didn't turn his stomach too bad, but lighting, parking, elevators, upkeep of that building, it's in the Capitol complex. Y'all sit around here, and I agree with folks. Y'all arguing about $50,000 out of $2 million. That's like peanuts. But you spent, some lady said 75 minutes. That's a long time to talk about peanuts. But we know why. And I'm now about to piss off some folks. Because some folks said, oh, I like you, I like you, I like you. I heard that I like you stuff. It ain't about liking. It's about getting something done. We all know why that project on the east side or any plans on the east side couldn't be found. Because they were shelved. Put it on the back burner. As a matter of fact, throw it behind the stove. I'm tired. And Brother Johnson and Brother Frazier, they both spoke well. But I'm going to tell you something. Ain't none of y'all going to like me if we start getting some good trouble around this place. And I hope y'all know what good trouble is. Because I told you before, I can stand outside of this building right there by myself and disrupt this whole hall by myself. Because loud I can get. Belligerent I can get. I'm not going to be belligerent, but I can get there. I'm just asking y'all, please, Mayor, work with the city council, the corporate council. Come to my building, please. Come to my building and put some more pressure on these people. Because I know you're not going to give us any money, but at least you can give us some support. God bless.
Mr. Douglas, Alderwoman Purchase has signed up to speak with you.
No, it's not Mr. Douglas. I just
Okay.
wanted to,
Yes,
I just wanted to
Alderwoman.
say, Madam Mayor, Corporate Counsel. So first off, definitely, I thank Mordock for coming out with us, and Mr. Douglas gave us a tour so he could see everything, and we're working on things. But I think now, Katia, at this point, I'm getting agitated because to see them pay their bill within 24 hours, now you playing with my intelligence. So with the company, they should be able to fix this stuff, but the pressure that we've put on them now they're coming up with money, they're able to provide stuff. I have 2 other high-rises that just approved new elevators through the Housing Authority for Bonasinga and other places that's having the same issues, but they decide they don't want to fix it. At this point, when they come to court, once we give them that time frame, what else can we do? And I don't want to put the big green sticker on the door like we did at the window. And you just heard Mr. Douglas like his 16th floor. But is that the last resort that we can do to really get them to fix the items that they need to do in the building?
More or less. That is the biggest stick that we carry, is to occupancy prohibit the building. And I don't think anybody's suggesting that that is a good solution.
Right.
I know that with respect to the incident that's being referenced, the violation report was immediately referred to code enforcement. It was received and processed by that department. I apologize that I'm no longer in charge of that department, but I still keep in contact with them, and it's been processed. So they will have another court date here, probably within the next 21 to 30 days. And like all the other cases we've had with them, a fine will be imposed. Enforcement will be continued to be pursued through the circuit court. And, you know, a court can order them time and time again to fix the elevators. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, our authority doesn't extend to dragging someone out there by their hand, putting the hammer in their hand, holding their hand. You know, unfortunately, it's not something the city can do. We can apply as much pressure as we can, but aside from shutting down the building, that's, I'm afraid, the best we can do.
Thank you. And Mordock, I kind of knew that's where we were heading to. So, Mr. Douglas, when I first got appointed, you all shared how long the parking garage looked the way it looked and how long y'all had been complaining. When that pressure from you and I and the residents happened, guess what? That parking garage got shut down. And it's still shut down. And some of the residents was upset, but you had my back to say, hey, this is what happened when you call your elected official and she actually is doing her job. That's the same thing that's going to happen next, how you saw the window. If we have to really apply that pressure, it's going to be the green sticker on the door.
Oh, I know. I know that.
And I know
Fire
that's
Marshal
not-
explained that.
Yeah, so I know that's not the ending result you want, but at some point, that's just like the last option of what can happen. And I know, working with the mayor, that's not something that we want to do. Miss Mimi, y'all saw me cry. This lady was 80 or 91 years old that was sleeping downstairs at nighttime because she couldn't get upstairs, and there was no heat in the foyer area. I was going over there once a week just to see for myself. Their packages are sitting downstairs because FedEx and Amazon and them can't even get up the freight. So at this point, we just leaving them out there, and then they threatening you all when you don't want to pay rent because they not fixing stuff. So I think I'm like actually lost as to what else we can do too. So I wanted Katia or Mordock to say that to you and for the residents that's watching, because there's nothing else that we can do. That's the last thing. Just like you see the Wyndham over there working and we see all them yellow trucks every day.
Yes, ma'am.
They won't open back up until they do their job.
Yeah. And Mayor, I want to tell you, they put out plaques. I sent a picture of it. Oh, they got a picture of brand new elevators. It looked nice. They could be in the Esquire magazine or something. I mean, these are nice pictures. And they say it'll be soon. I don't know how soon.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas.
Thank you.
We got you, Mr.
The next person signed up to speak is Tiara Standage. Yeah, and I don't know why.
Hello. I also wanted to take time to thank Alderman Gregory for bringing forth that amendment to make sure that the East Side and our other black communities aren't left out when economic development is on the table. And thank you for the whole horseshoe for supporting him on that. As Ken gave everybody the data, where I'm from, I'm a constituent of Ward 2. There's a 20-year life expectancy difference. The question I pose to you guys is, what can we do to keep these people alive for that extra 20 years? One solution is harm reduction, and that's what I do at Intricate Minds, so I would like to take my time to talk a little bit about that. In 2024, we lost 90 people to fentanyl overdoses in Sangamon County alone. I would just like to take a couple seconds of silence for those people as well as others that we've lost to drug overdose. Thank you for that. Intricate Minds was founded in 2023 by myself after losing my mother to a fentanyl overdose. We are a harm reduction-centered nonprofit community center. We do not have any requirements or qualifications for our participants to receive services. This means that our participants include a little bit of everyone, from the unhoused, single parents, the elderly, and everyone in between. Our mission statement is as follows. Intricate Minds intends to stimulate the Black community and our allies to reduce the stigma related to mental health, HIV, drug use, and identifying as LGBTQ. Our programming is centered around the 8 harm reduction principles that are identified by the National Harm Reduction Coalition. Number 1, we accept, for better or worse, that licit and illicit drug use is part of our world, and we choose to work to minimize its harmful effects rather than simplify, ignore, or condemn them. We understand drug use is a complex, multifaceted phenomenon that encompasses a continuum of behaviors from severe use to total abstinence, and we acknowledge that some ways of using drugs are clearly safer than others. Number 3, we establish the quality of individual and community well-being as the criteria for successful interventions and policies, not the cessation of all drug use. Number 4, we provide non-judgmental services and resources to people who use drugs and the communities in which they live in order to assist them in reducing harm. Number 5, we ensure that people who use drugs and those with a history of drug use continually have a real voice in creation of the programs and policies designed to serve them. Number 6, we affirm people who use drugs as the primary agents of reducing the harms of their drug use, and we seek to empower people who use drugs to share information and support each other in strategies which meet their actual conditions of use. Number 7, we recognize that the realities of poverty, class, racism, social isolation, past trauma, sex-based discrimination, and other social inequities affect both people's vulnerability to and capacity for effectively dealing with drug-related harm. Number 8, we do not attempt to minimize or ignore the real and tragic harm and danger that can be associated with illicit drug use. These are the 8 principles that are the root of what harm reduction is. Harm reduction is healthcare, harm reduction is love, and harm reduction saves lives. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Get a second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.